charm. It's been modernized, and Wrigley Field is our host for the next few hours for what should be a great midsummer night. We welcome you into our telecast with a slightly 1980s flavor. It's the Chicago White Sox and the Chicago Cubs. First time baseball has been on ABC in an exclusive regular season telecast since 1989. We're pleased to be able to bring it to you. We got the Blazers to prove it. Alex Rodriguez, Matt Vasgersian, Buster Olney with us as well. This is going to be a lot of fun tonight.
It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm excited about the patches. I'm excited. Listen, the White Sox have to do exactly what they've been doing, right? Is beating up on bad teams. They have an opportunity tonight to do something they have only done 3 times, which is sweep the Cubbies right here at Wrigley Field.
Yeah, the Sox have been outstanding this year and certainly in this series, and usually the case when they surge as they are. Their MVP, Jose Abreu, is right in the middle of the damage, as he sure has been this weekend. Yeah, Abreu, this year against the Cubs, has been a one-man wrecking crew, and dating back to last year, he's homered 7 times in his last 5 games across town here at Wrigley.
Jose Abreu is simply the total package. He won the MVP last year. He already has 3 All-Stars, Rookie of the Year. As you said, he absolutely crushes the Cubbies right here. Get this, Tony La Russa told us before the game that in all his years, he's one of the best, most competitive, grittiest, best leaders he's ever managed. That's a lot coming from the guy that's going to turn 77, the Hall of Fame manager, Tony La Russa, the 3-time world champion.
Rooftops will be full by the time the first pitch is thrown. A packed house at baseball was a staple here on ABC throughout the 70s and 80s, and dating back even further than that. And tonight, our national pastime is back. We'll return with the starting lineups and the opening pitch. The crosstown rivalry is next. Baseball is presented by Taco Bell. Big crowd on a Sunday night on the north side. Good to have you along with us. Ready for the series finale between a couple of teams, as we mentioned a moment ago, who seem to be headed in different directions. And with that, we say good evening to Buster Olney.
Yeah, and Matt, the conversation about the White Sox maybe being in the World Series is absolutely appropriate given the domination of their pitching. And the secret weapon of that staff, the man who pitched to them tonight, Dylan Cease. 18 of his 22 starts this year. He's allowed 3 earned runs or fewer with a 2.47 ERA. His strikeout rate of 11.7 per 9 innings. That's in the same neighborhood, Matt, as Garrett Cole and Max Scherzer.
It is Dylan Cease on the mound for Tony La Russa's White Sox. Let's take a look at his lineup, brought to you by Taco Bell, as the White Sox pitching to punctuate Buster's point has really been a feather in their collective cap. They're first in K rate among other statistical categories. Here's Tony's lineup on this Sunday. Tim Anderson, Adam Engel, and Jose Abreu lead it off. Anderson was a late add to the lineup. Thought he had a day off until about 5 o'clock this afternoon. Eloy Jimenez is back in left field, has not found his form at the plate since the injury in spring training, but getting there according to the Sox. Moncada, Vaughn, Hernandez, Zavala, and Cease round things out for a White Sox lineup that is 11 wins, 11 losses since the All-Star break. And on the mound for the Cubs, a 28-year-old changeup specialist, Zach Davies. His first pitch to Tim Anderson is hit well out to right field. Greg Deichmann's out there, and he watches it fly. Oh, boy. Check the flags. It could be one of those nights. Wind is blowing out at Wrigley, and one pitch into it, it's 1-0 White Sox.
And Tim Anderson, who fought himself back into the lineup, as Tony La Russa told us, came in early, did some extra work, found something. The fastball here, middle in, little sink, 89, and right over the ivy in right center field. Great hands by Anderson on a warm night here in Wrigley Field, 83 degrees.
I mean, this has every ingredient, Alex, for being one of those nights, and we're not just saying that because the first pitch was hit over the wall. It's a 17-degree wind that's blowing out. It's 83 degrees. Mother Nature has some other tricks in store for us tonight, we're told. So it could get really interesting tonight. And Zach Davies' third pitch of the ball game is lined back up the middle, a single for Adam Engel. Well, quite a way to settle in for Davies. We haven't even gotten the details on his last start out there, and he's dealt with a homer and a base hit. That last assignment for Davies came on Tuesday in Denver under conditions that were similar to tonight's. Gave up a couple of homers, 7 earned runs in 4 innings, handed his 8th loss of the year. And he'll try to regather here and go to work on the ever dangerous first baseman, reigning AL MVP, Jose Abreu. Abreu is the White Sox RBI leader. In fact, his total of 83 is the second highest in all of baseball. He's driven in a run in 7 of his last 8. Some of the other numbers may be down, including batting average, but Jose Abreu has been as productive as ever this year. Oh, 2 the count to Abreu. Well, the White Sox and Cubs, as we mentioned, going in different directions to start play. For the Sox, with their win yesterday, couple that with Cleveland's loss, and they are a season-high 10.5 over the rest of the pack in the AL Central, at least at the start of the day. This is the 5th season in franchise history in which they occupied first place by at least 10 games at this point of the season. Still 0-2 to Abreu.
Matt and Alex, you mentioned the fact that Tim Anderson was actually not in the original lineup that the White Sox posted. He went to the staff after the game yesterday, asked for today off, but then he went downstairs and he hit, and coaches were telling Tony La Russa, yeah, he needs to be in there. He found something with his rhythm and timing and his swing, put back in the lineup, damage right away.
I also think he might have seen the weather forecast. Wind is blown out at Wrigley. That is not a day anybody wants to sit unless maybe you're the starting pitcher. And Abreu chases a changeup to strike out. Let's go back to the homer that opened business tonight.
Yeah, and Anderson, really special hands, quick, tight, very strong. La Russa told us his hands are as special as any young player he's ever managed, and the enthusiasm and the energy he brings to the stadium every day is something that's vital for this White Sox team. Special.
Well, not to mention Tim Anderson, Alex, as we know, he's a dude that loves the spotlight. Standalone game tonight on ABC. You think Tim Anderson wanted to spend it in the clubhouse watching it on TV? No chance.
I heard once he found out it was on ABC, he said, La Russa, I got to get in there. He's a prime-time player, baby.
1 out, 1 in, 1 on for the left fielder, Eloy Jimenez. Jimenez was supposed to be right in the middle of the Sox big plans this spring when the injured pectoral muscle that he suffered in spring training threw everything out of whack. Who's going to hit in the middle of the lineup? Who's going to play left? Who's going to DH? Plans changed with one big injury. Jimenez back a little sooner than the White Sox had feared. There was significant talk at the time, Buster, that Jimenez may miss the entire season. As it turns out, they get him back with 2 months for him to get his feet under him before a postseason run.
And get some major league at bats. That's what he's lacking right now. He's been a little rusty after he was activated off the injured list, but the White Sox are confident he'll get his swing back as he gets more plate appearances.
A swing and a drive well hit out to center field. Ortega's back, still in chase mode, and he looks up and it's gone. 3-0 White Sox. Second of the season for Eloy Jimenez.
And Matty, this is the definition of a very confident team in August. Weather's warm, wind's blowing out. They feel good. And this is a massive monster shot here. Another fastball up in the zone. And he loved it right off the bat.
Davies knew it as soon as it got out of his hands.
It had the sound, it had the look, and it had the feel.
He's got the style points too. Check the flip.
Tremendous bat flip.
That's Tom Lawless-esque. Look for that on Google and YouTube if you don't know what we're talking about. Classic. 3-0 Pale Hose. 8 pitches thrown by Zach Davies to start the game. 3 runs on 3 hits. And here's Yoan Moncada now.
A home run, a base hit, a strikeout, and a home run. All 3 hits on fastballs.
Good change has Moncada out in front. You know, ironically, this is not a feast or famine White Sox lineup. They do not do all of their damage with just the long ball, as is the case with so many clubs these days. Moncada swings and misses again. And I think Tony La Russa would be the first one to tell you we are not a home run reliant lineup. Sure, they love it. They'll benefit from it when it comes, but they're more of a station to station team than you might guess. Full count, 3 balls and 2 strikes to the switch hitting third baseman Yoan Moncada. Yeah, only 2 teams derived their runs less from homers than the White Sox, and the White Sox are the only postseason caliber team to make that list.
And I like this recipe because it gives you a diversified way to attack the opposition. Good news, bad news for the White Sox. One, I like the way they spread the ball around and don't rely so solely on the home run. The other part they're going to have to determine whether they're going to be world champs or not is, can they stay disciplined in the strike zone? This is a team that likes to expand, and that could be troublesome in October, especially in late October.
There's the rookie right fielder Andrew Vaughn, who has been hot last 15 games, batting .360, and he has quickly become a Tony La Russa favorite in a lineup of very capable offensive players. Nothing in 1 the count to Vaughn. Make it 0-2. By the way, that bat flip that we mentioned, Tom Lawless in '87, the Cardinals, that game was televised on ABC. It's all working out tonight.
Good mojo.
'87 World Series. And a pitch that misses the corner. It's a ball and 2 strikes.
Yeah, that Tom Lawless bat flip, I don't know if that bat ever came down. Like, that's how high he threw that bat.
Home runs here to start out the ball game by Anderson and Jimenez. Kyle Davies actually entered the game with only 1 homer allowed in the first inning this year. That's in 23 starts. And he gets dinged up a couple of times tonight early on. So it's a mixed house tonight. As you'd imagine, there's plenty of Southside representation at Wrigley Field. A lot of White Sox fans here. Vaughn sends the ball out to left center field. That ball is crushed, and that one's gone. Oh, my goodness. A 3-homer inning to start the night against Zach Davies.
A good team offense here for the White Sox. Moncada laying off a 3-2 changeup. And Vaughn takes the changeup and hits it into left center field bleachers. Nice calm approach, lets that ball travel, and bang. Boy, the White Sox are not messing around. They came out with their dancing shoes. They hit out on the field Sunday. Not every team hits out on Sundays, but they came out ready. And Tony La Russa told us, Matt and Alex is a very, very good team. And our job is to hear them. They communicate, and a perfect example of their communication, a dialogue, a credit to La Russa, not a monologue, hearing Tim Anderson and saying, hey, I found something, listening to his coaches. La Russa's always had great coaching staff going back to the Oakland days, St. Louis days. Star-studded, and he leans, and he gives a lot of credit to his coaching staff. Give him credit. Anderson set the tone tonight with the first pitch fastball home run.
Here's Cesar Hernandez, now one of the new White Sox, and he'll send a fly ball the other way for Ian Happ, and that's out number 2.
And 2 fastballs and a changeup here on the home runs. First, Anderson, right center field on the first pitch. Hit Jimenez, fastball up, splits the fairway, and then the 2-2 changeup to Vaughn. Too much of the plate.
I think Vaughn's might have been the hardest hit. I mean, that got out of there so fast.
2-strike hitting, 2-2 changeup, lets that ball travel, a natural born hitter, and has done a fantastic job of working hard in the outfield, playing above average left field and right field. La Russa credit Daryl Boston, the outfield coach and first base coach for the White Sox, of doing a tremendous job, not only with Vaughn, but with a lot of their youngsters.
These guys are all hanging out together on the bench now, the first inning home run club guys. First time that the White Sox have had a 3-homer first in about a decade. Meanwhile, it's 0-2 to the rookie catcher Seby Zavala. Zavala has taken a lot of the playing time behind the plate in the absence of Yasmani Grandal, who the Sox hope to have back for the postseason. Strikeout ends the inning. 8 White Sox come to the plate, and they get on the board with 3 big homers to start the night. Anderson, Jimenez, Vaughn all going deep. All Southsiders to start the night at Wrigley. Have some catching up to do early tonight. Let's take a look at the Cubs Taco Bell starting lineup for David Ross. Rafael Ortega leads things off. Duffy and Happ follow. Wilson Contreras is one of the few World Series players left on the roster. He'll catch tonight. The 2-time All-Star struck out 4 times yesterday. Patrick Wisdom leads all National League rookies in homers. David Bodie, Greg Deichmann, Sergio Alcantara, and Zach Davies round things out for the Cubs, whose .227 team batting average is lower than everybody's in baseball, save Texas and Seattle, and they'll have their hands full tonight with the hard-throwing 25-year-old right-hander and former Cub property Dylan Cease.
He got a power arm. He's got the fastball. You see it 96 to 100. Curveball, slider, and a change. Last outing against Kansas City was outstanding, only giving up 1 hit. In 6 innings, struck out 11 Royals with 23 swing and misses in 6 innings.
Rafael Ortega has been a bright spot in the post-sale Cubs. He's got a base hit to start the first.
And we talked about his arsenal. It's explosive. It's the fastball, the curveball, and the slider. Set up by the fastball, then the curveball, slider. The key for him is strike 1, work ahead, and let this inexperienced Cubs offense expand, much like he did in his last outing against the Royals.
Ortega, the runner at first for Matt Duffy, who'll take a strike. Let's talk big picture about the Cubs here, Alex, because you know, this was a team not too long ago that had a share of first place. At one point they were 42-33. That was through 75 games, roughly half the season, and there was no indication that they were going to hit the skids the way they did. Since that point, a major league worst 10-27, and it it prompted the front office to think about the future, do some reorganizing, send some very popular players to other destinations. And the Cubs don't like using the rebuild word, the R word as it's known around here, but it's hard to avoid it.
Well, it's hard to believe that just 5 years ago, 2016, they brought the World Championship here after many decades of not winning. But sometimes you got to make the tough decisions, and kind of the wheels came off here the last month or so, and they had to send players away. That's a tough pill to swallow for the Cubs fans, but they're thinking about whether you want to call it rebuild or reset. They've done it, and now Ross, as a manager, has to really change his mentality, right? Is who's going to be part of the solution here in the future? Or these guys just serving up, wearing the uniforms for the last month and a half or so. But if you're a player, that's a tremendous opportunity to impress.
Taylor made double play ball, and the White Sox failed to convert as Happ beats it out. So it's a fielder's choice play that nets Happ aboard, and there are 2 gone in the bottom of the first.
Guys, I think if you were to give truth serum to the leadership of the Chicago Cubs, they are glad that the team declared itself hard one way or the other. To go into that slump leading up the trade deadline, I think made it absolutely clear for the Cubs front office that, you know what, here's the time when we have to start turning over this roster, maybe start trading away some of these potential free agents.
Certainly a different task for David Ross, different task for his coaching staff. Younger players now trying to establish themselves, many of whom are not young players. You got some guys that have spent a lot of time in the minors who are in Major League Chicago right now trying to stick and open eyes. Here's Wilson Contreras. Contreras, as we mentioned, hitless in the series, had a 4 strikeout night yesterday. The contact has been a problem for the Chicago Cubs this year.
They made a learning opportunity here for young Short. You see how flat-footed he is right here, and just throws like a quarterback, leaning back. Even though he has a strong arm, it cost him the double play. What you want to do if you're Anderson is you want to come and use that great athleticism and have all your momentum going forward, and then jump over the base runner. Then you get the double play.
And Contreras is unable to hold off a swing and a miss to retire the side in the first. Sunday Night Baseball will continue after this from our ABC stations. The gentleman in the golf shirt is Dan Kiermaier, who is a member of the grounds crew here at Wrigley Field. He is one of their senior members, and he was not showing the umpires a high score on Candy Crush between innings. He was showing them exactly what's happening in terms of the weather pattern. Dan Kiermaier, of course, big brother of Kevin Kiermaier, 3-time Gold Glover with the Tampa Bay Rays, one of the best defensive outfielders in the game. And Buster, we understand that there's a reason they were sharing that information tonight.
That's right. They feel like they have about an hour before weather starts to become an issue, and it'll move in and then build during the course of the inning. But they do feel like right now they got about a window of an hour in front of us.
Oh, the dreaded window. That's one of the worst words in the business. A ball and 2 strikes is the count on Dylan Cease, leading things off for the White Sox. And if you're joining us late, 3 first-inning homers by the visiting Sox have built up a 5-0 advantage early on tonight. Cease 3 for 6 this year. All 3 hits came in the same game against the Reds. He's a strikeout victim in his first try tonight.
And for Davies, the mistakes so far have been up in the zone. All 3 homers. The first 2 on fastballs up here. First pitch swinging for Anderson. Jimenez, fastball up, and then the changeup, 2-2 up. A recipe for disaster for Davies to live up north.
Vaughns was the hardest hit of all the contact made against Davies tonight, and it's back to Tim Anderson now. You know, that's not usually the way Zach Davies gets hurt. He does not he's not a home run guy per se. It's his 24th start, and at the start of play, he'd only allowed 12 homers. Walks have been his biggest problem this year. He's a stubborn guy, and I mean that in a flattering sense, in that he stays true to his game regardless and won't give in. That's why the walk total is what it is.
Yeah, 63 passes. He's been nibbling all year, has not trusted his stuff all year. And when you nibble and you walk, you ultimately have to come home to daddy. And when you do, it's been a recipe for disaster, as this first inning has been for him.
And Anderson's got his second base hit of the game. Pretty good for a guy who 3 hours ago thought he wasn't in the lineup.
In baseball, one of my favorite phrases, don't think, just play. Well, that's exactly what Anderson is doing. No thinking, just playing and swinging. Great legs, great mechanics, stays behind the baseball, and one of the few players that still hits 300 year in and year out.
Billy Hamilton, his biggest fan tonight among many. 1 out, 1 on now for Adam Engel. Zach Davies has now thrown 33 pitches in the game, and he has been greeted with 19 swings. The Sox are up there aggressive tonight. Ball and no strikes, the count to Adam Engel. You know, one of the challenges for the White Sox, and I think today's game really gives you a snapshot into this in a smaller micro sense. They have such a commanding lead in the division. And we asked Tony La Russa before the game about keeping a team sharp and challenged, given they are likely to clinch a postseason appearance early in September.
Yeah, the gift and the curse of playing great baseball and having a huge lead. But I'm a big believer of sprinting through the finish line. I know that I've been on teams that have clinched early, and you lose your edge a little bit, and it's so easy to get complacent. And Tony's a big guy. I mean, going back to a guy that he had in his staff, Harvey Dorfman, the mental side of baseball and the importance of it. And he thinks it's pivotal to keep your momentum, and Tony La Russa is all about the edge. And today he talked to us about that.
2 balls and a strike, the count to Adam Engel. Yeah, Tony applies very much a common sense rationale to how to deal with September if you're going to clinch early. Look, if guys need time, they're going to tell me, and I'm going to give them time. But if they're in there, I expect the intensity level to stay postseason ready. In other words, don't play and mail in 4 at-bats.
Yeah, absolutely. And Tony La Russa is, half manager, half therapist. He has a law degree, and he loves the mental side of the game more than anything. And he continues to challenge his players on all the little things.
That's not to say that the Sox aren't having fun, right? I mean, stay loose before the game, work hard, play hard. In other words, Rochambeau, rock, paper, scissors.
And I love it. They're not lacking confidence, and they're having fun. And that's exactly what you're supposed to do to play this great game of baseball. When you have fun, you're that much better.
Well, that's a guy that's added to the fun factor. Brian Goodwin has been a real breath of fresh air for the White Sox. And it's a 3-2 count to Adam Engel now. Tony La Russa teams have clinched early in the past. None earlier than his 1983 Chicago White Sox. As Engel strikes out for round number 2. About a quick look at the upcoming week of games on ESPN. Plenty of great Major League Baseball action, including tomorrow on ESPN. These White Sox and the Twins, their series opener at 8 Eastern. Wednesday, Dodgers and Phillies at 7 o'clock. And then Sunday Night Baseball back on ESPN a week from tonight at Citi Field in Flushing, Queens for the Dodgers and the Mets.
That should be a good one.
2 teams that are a little uneven right now.
Yeah, and you know what? They aren't even now, but maybe a week from today, both of them win 5 out of 6, and they're in a different place. And that's what's so great about baseball. Things change from day to day to week.
Back to Jose Abreu now. The Mets starting play at 1 game over 500, losers in 4 in a row.
And the Phillies have caught fire.
Jose Abreu occupying a prominent place on the White Sox all-time offense lists. Home runs in particular, only 3 ahead of him. Creeping up on Harold Baines, just 2 shy of the Hall of Famers total.
Hey, Matty, how about if you're a White Sox fan, some of the great first basemen you've had, going back to Frank Thomas, Konerko, the great Jim Thome, and now Abreu. I mean, they've done a fantastic job. You know, Kenny Williams and Jerry Reinsdorf, they've done a fantastic job of when they identify a great leader and a great person and a great player, not only do they sign them, but they extend them and they keep them long term.
High strike makes it 1-2 on Jose Abreu. And a Buster reported on Baseball Tonight about our conversation with Tony and where Tony kind of ranks Abreu in his pantheon of best ever leaders in a 40-year managerial career, at or near the top, Buster.
Right, along with names like Carlton Fisk and Carney Lansford and Albert Pujols. Look, if you ever get Tony La Russa to compare any player to Albert Pujols, that's saying something.
That's a good point. Abreu lines that into left. 2-out single, first and second with 2 gone in the second inning.
Abreu went down in a changeup last time. This time is a fastball in, all over it, looking for it, and a nice compact swing. Tight. And Davies doesn't have too many places to go today with this White Sox offense. They are ready to hit the baseball.
So here's Eloy Jimenez now, hit a monstrous 2-run home run, one of the 3 homers in the first inning tonight. Boy, that wind is really whipping. Flags are moving in center field. 17 miles an hour at the start of play, and dare I say, getting a little heavier as the night wears on, and it's 1-1. Let's take you back to the homer.
Yeah, I mean, that's a fastball up. And Matty, if you're a hitter and I'm facing a guy like Davies that I know he can't blow the ball by me, I'm looking for the ball belt high and high. It doesn't matter if it's a fastball or a changeup. I'm looking to get this baby airborne.
And there's one up the line on the ground that'll do some damage. Anderson's being waved around to score, having trouble with it, and here comes Abreu right behind him. It's a 2-run double for Eloy Jimenez and the start of a monster night for the White Sox left fielder.
And a 2-point conversion for the White Sox. Fastball in again, rips it down the line. Scoring 2 runs. And the White Sox are hitting everything. Hard, soft, up, down.
Come on, come on, come on, Pito. Come on, Pito. Come on,
And
Pito.
then Abreu on the backside.
You gotta go.
The big fella carrying the mail.
That's the voice of White Sox third base coach Joe McEwing. Come on, come on, come on. Send him. 7-0 White Sox. Boy, it's just got to taste so bad for Cubs fans. Not only, you know, what's happening in the standings and on the rosters, but go back and think about the trade that sent Eloy Jimenez and Dylan Cease across town for Jose Quintana, and this one is, no offense, smelling worse every day.
Oh man, getting crushed by the 2 guys they let go.
Guys, Rick Hahn, the general manager of the White Sox, told me yesterday that before that deal went down, Jerry Reinsdorf, the owner of the White Sox, who's not used to making trades with the Cubs, kept on asking him, okay, tell me again, why do we need to do this deal? And Rick explained this was the best value we can get. Jerry gave it the okay, and here we are.
Still the ball and 2 strikes on Yoan Moncada. Yeah, they don't get together very often as trade partners, but when they do, speaking of the White Sox and Cubs, they are impactful deals. Craig Kimbrel going across town, that's big time. Get one of the best closers in the game and a guy that might land in Cooperstown for a postseason run, joining Liam Hendriks, a co-closer bullpen. Billy Hamilton's having a great night as a non-starter tonight.
Guys, I was watching before the game. Billy Hamilton was running football patterns out in the outfield, except he was being thrown baseballs.
Without a glove.
He is still one of the fastest guys in the league. A ball and 2 strikes, the count to Yoan Moncada. There have been 30 trades consummated between the 2 Chicago teams over the years, including the rather lopsided looking Cease Jimenez deal.
Yeah, and Rick Hahn's theory is that the fact that the Cubs and White Sox have broken long streaks without winning the World Series has made it easier for both franchises to deal with each other.
And a called strike 3 taken by Moncada. 3 strikeouts in the inning, but 2 more runs for the White Sox. Middle of the second, 7-0 Southsiders. This year's trade deadline, running away with the AL Central, cemented themselves as contenders with a trio of impressive additions. They added Cesar Hernandez from the Indians to play the infield. Then they struck deals with their crosstown rivals for future Hall of Famer Craig Kimbrel and set up man Ryan Tepera, forming a bullpen ready-made for October. On the other side of town, the Cubbies, just a few years removed from a World Series title, sliced up their core and served it elsewhere, trading away 9 players in a 2-week span. Along with Kimbrel and Tepera, they sent their big 3 all on expiring deals to play in pennant races for other teams. Rizzo to the Yankees, Baez to the Mets, Bryant to the Giants. There might not be a whole lot left on the Cubs' plate in 2021, but the White Sox up here ready to feast. Are you buying the pizza analogy here in Chicago? Yeah, why not? We were thinking about doing that with hot dogs and going over to Wiener Circle to shoot, but we would have lost our family-friendly rating had we gone in there after 10 p.m. 3 balls and no strikes as it counts of Patrick Wisdom leading things off in the Cubs half of the second. Wisdom, Bodie, and Dykman. 7-0 White Sox. If you're Dylan Cease, it does turn into a different assignment. I think it's hard to ignore that. You get 7 early runs, you know there's weather coming, and the task is throw strikes.
Throw strikes, but you still want to keep the concentration. The last thing you want to do is get into a prevent defense, and we know prevent defense prevents you from winning. So be assertive, throw strikes, have a good cadence, but continue exactly what you did last outing against the Royals, where you had 11 strikeouts, only gave up 1 hit, and threw 6 innings. The weather and the score is not in your control. Control where you can.
And it's ball 4 to Patrick Wisdom. Getting closer to this week's 5th inning fast talk presented by T-Mobile. Grab your phone during the mid-5th inning commercial break and head over to ESPN's Instagram Live, where we'll be answering your baseball questions as they're submitted by you, the fans. Be sure to tune into a fast-paced live stream. You won't want to miss it. 5th inning fast talk coming up in just a bit. Cubs have put their leadoff hitter aboard in both of the innings they've opened against Dylan Cease, and now it's the second baseman tonight, David Bodie, who's hit in a modest 4 straight. You know, a part of the Cubs bottoming out, and we talked about how after a good start, they just went 10-27. In fact, they're in the midst of that run now. A part of that has been injuries. And they were without this guy, David Bote, for the better part of 2 months with a shoulder injury. And while Bote is not a Bryant/Rizzo marquee attraction, he's been a very important player here for a while. They're still without Jason Hayward with a finger injury. We use the website Baseball Reference all the time in a biblical sense. It is the authority when it comes to a lot of this statistical information, and they list the top 12 players for each team this year. Note how many of them are now wearing other caps. I think that says a lot.
Yeah, and on the first they traded, 3 of them hit home runs in the first game, which made things worse.
Swing and a miss by Bote, and that's strikeout number 3 for Dylan Cease tonight. Buster, how do you think fans have taken all this? I know that there was a lot of shock value attached. There was some initial disappointment, but do you think the Cubs fan base understands that economically this is what's happening here, or is there still resentment?
No, I think there's definitely resentment based on the feedback that I've heard. I've asked other reporters, how has this all been received? Not very positively. Look, those guys are all legacy players. You know, the Bryant, Rizzo, Baez, those guys are all guys who are going to be coming back in 20 years and throwing out ceremonial first pitches as they commemorate the incredible 2016 World Series run. So to see them, the core of them, those legacy guys, all leave within the span of 72 hours, that was a shock for fans. But I think from the team perspective, they felt like, look, these guys were going to leave as free agents, and we needed to take advantage of their value before they walked out. Yeah, look at Kris Bryant, Rizzo. You know, it's played such important roles, and now they moved on to other teams.
And don't forget Darvish and Caratini, which started this offseason, and that's when the wheels started coming off. But give credit to ownership where they hung in there as long as they could.
Greg Deichmann with a drive out to right field. Did Vaughn makes a nice catch on at the ivy. Guy still learning how to play outfield, and there's very few that are trickier than the one here at Wrigley Field. Nicely done for route number 2.
Yeah, and La Russa talked about the great adjustment that Vaughn has made as an outfielder, playing both corners. This is a very difficult play, going back close to the ivy, finding where he's at, and then a very well-timed jump. A lot more difficult of a play than it looks.
Talked to a lot of players that are playing out here for the first time, and the basket can become something that really affects your relationship with the baseball. You get under the basket, and oh boy.
Yeah, I mean, that perception becomes a problem. You don't know if he's going to nip it, if he's going to hit it. And just the thought as an outfielder that it may hit, that's something that no other ballpark has. 1 out of 30 ballparks have that, and it becomes a challenge. Well played by Vaughn.
So 2 gone with a runner aboard. It's 0-2 to Sergio Alcantara.
You know, Matty, going back to your point about where the Cubs are and where they're going, I think they have the perfect manager in David Ross. I mean, here's a guy who played for Madden, Bobby Cox, Terry Francona, Dusty Baker, and you go from converting from winning at all costs to more of an educational approach. You know, communication, being patient, and really scouting, right? You got to determine which of these guys are going to be in your roster next year. Who's part of the solution? Who's part of the problem? And I think David Ross, right man, right spot.
Ball. And guys, boy, did they clear the financial decks. We just showed David Bote, Jason Hayward. They've only got a small handful of players who are under contract in years to come. In fact, I think the payroll obligation for next year is something in the range of $40 million. You see there, $40 million in 2022, 23, 40 million. 2025, only $1 million in payroll obligation. So this is a team that's going to be in a position to grow once they get the core prospects they want to put in place.
Well, it leads to the inevitable question as Alcantara fouls that one away, Buster. Is there any pathway to, say, a Bryant, Rizzo, and/or Baez return via free agency? Might they come back?
You know, my guess, and that's all it would be a guess, is that the guy among the 3 legacy players who were traded, the most likely to come back would be Javier Baez. They were actually on a path to sign him to a long-term deal when COVID hit in 2020. I think that's the guy. If the price is right, they would bring him back.
Okay. Full count, 3 balls and 2 strikes on the switch hitting shortstop.
The one that's most surprising for me is Rizzo. I mean, here's a guy who's been the face of the franchise, an ambassador on and off the field, has done so much with the Cubs philanthropy, also the Rizzo charities, and he's a guy that just became synonymous with the Cubs. And in many ways, I can foresee a time where you could, you know, do a statue for Rizzo outside of Wrigley Field. But you never know. And Buster, to your point, is just a guess, but Rizzo just fits this Cubs franchise as well as anybody.
He fits a lot of franchises. Currently on the Yankees COVID IL. And there's ball 4 to Alcantara. A couple of walks in the inning by Dylan Cease. If you're the White Sox, you want to get through 5 with this lead as quickly as possible, because again, there is weather on its way into the area.
And we have a pinch hitter.
Yeah. And one of the new Cubs, it'll be Frank Schwindel to bat in Davies' spot. Never good news when the pitcher fails to make his first plate appearance of the game. And here's Schwindel. Split time between the A's and the Cubs. A's liked him. There was no place for him in Oakland. He's been around a little bit. Originally selected by Kansas City in the 2013 draft. He spent time with the A's, the Tigers, and the Royals. Jersey guy, St. John's University. And that one gets away from Zavala, free 90 feet for the base runners.
Alex, I'm going to push back on you a little bit on Rizzo. The reason why I don't think that Rizzo is going to be signed by the Cubs for 2022 is because they had contract talks that didn't go well. Like the team offered $70 million. His camp was looking for a lot more than that. There are questions about whether or not, you know, what should he get as a legacy player versus what, you know, the Cubs would pay him based on what they expect for future contributions. There was just a big gap there. And it felt like just a kind of a raw sense between the two sides. Now, at the end of his career, maybe after his next contract, if he finishes his career with the Cubs and maybe some of those feelings begin to go back in the distant past, maybe then. But I don't think for 2022.
Makes sense.
One-two to Schwindel. Bounced up the middle and through. It's going to be a 2-run single for the pinch hitter that puts the Cubbies on the board. Both of the walks come around to score.
Yeah, 100 in on the fastball, 103 out. And a big base hit for the Cubs. And that's exactly what you want to do, is you want to make this a ball game. Now it's a 5-run game. You want to keep the line moving a little bit. You know, Buster, going back to what you said, it makes a lot of sense. Not all rebuilds are built the same or created equal. This is a primary market, not a secondary or tertiary. You talked about the flexibility that we'll have in upcoming years. And I would not be surprised if Jed Hoyer
gets this team back to the postseason, maybe not next year, but in 2 or 3 years, because the tremendous amount of resources they have. You have a very dedicated fan base. You have the new cable television network, and they're doing all type of fun things around the stadium. The vibe is still here, so they can make this turn a negative into a positive, not in 5 years, but maybe in 2.5 years.
And there's a shot out to right field. Rafael Ortega with a 2-out base hit that'll put runners at the corners with 2 away. And the Cubs have plenty of fight in them.
And there's a good time for the pitching coach, Matty, to come out and talk to Cease. You do not want to pitch to the scoreboard. You see another fastball in here. And Ortega just gets around it right in the wheel spot. But going back to Cease, you want to pitch your game. You do not want to pitch to the scoreboard. And do not get careless. Do not get complacent. And what happens with a lot of young pitchers in a game 7-0, very easy to lose your focus and concentration. I think there's a great visit here by the pitching coach to address just that.
A couple of the new Cubs, Schwindel and Ortega aboard with 2 gone. And home plate umpire Ryan Blackney will go out and end the conversation on the mound. Pitching coach Ethan Katz. You know, it's kind of hard to ignore the home road splits for Dylan Cease. As good as he's been overall, he has not had the kind of success away from the south side that he has enjoyed at home. Biggest difference in the American League in terms of home road ERA. So now Matt Duffy, who on the first pitch fades a pop into foul territory. Abreu can't make a play. Tough chance.
Matt, I had a conversation with Dylan Cease yesterday, and you could tell, I mean, he is absolutely full of ambition, full of talent. He's still in the process of figuring things out. He's had kind of a Jekyll and Hyde year. 4 starts in which he's allowed 23 runs in 16 1/3 innings. And then he's had 18 excellent starts. I think it's just a question for him at this point, like a lot of young pitchers, of just figuring it out and being consistent.
Yeah, I think overall the White Sox have been really pleased with his development this year, though it hasn't been totally steady. This is a guy who entered the season with a sub-500 record and an ERA over 5 in parts of 2 years in the big leagues. This year, career highs across the board, career low ERA. Big part of a very good starting staff for the White Sox. There goes Ortega. There will be no throw to second base.
Yeah, a good bag right here. A base hit now makes it a 3-run game.
Opponents taking liberties on Cease with a lot of success. As you can see, that bag for Ortega, his 6th in 11 tries. And the 2-strike pitch home misses. 2 balls and 2 strikes now to Matt Duffy. 31 pitches in the inning.
And this just screams lack of focus, concentration.
Two balls and 2 strikes. And Duffy's rung up, slipped the fastball past him at 98 miles an hour. The Cubs do rally for a pair. Play 2 complete, 7-2 White Sox. Still the biggest moment in Seattle Mariners franchise history in '95 when they toppled the mighty Yankees, and that was televised on the Baseball Network. It was NBC and ABC combining forces that year. Brent Musburger on the call. Brent was great with baseball. We're going to visit with Al Michaels a little bit later on to get his recollections of the baseball days at ABC. visiting with White Sox All-Star right-hander Lance Lynn as we continue tonight in the top half of the third. Hey, Lance, congratulations on a great start to the year, man, and an all-star appearance, all well-deserved.
I appreciate it, guys, and thanks for having me.
You were probably, what, 7, 8 years old when that run scored in the Kingdome?
Yeah, I think I'd be 8. That sounds about right.
Yeah, man, what is your earliest baseball memory as a fan?
I was a Griffey guy, so, you know, I remember those moments back then for sure.
Wind blowing out at Wrigley Field tonight.
Do we overstate how pitchers really fear a night like this, or is it real in your fraternity?
Oh, it's definitely real. Playing here quite a bit in the Central back in the day, you knew that warm nights at Wrigley were not your friend for sure. You love the early April games here, though.
Lance, I love the way you go about the way you pitch. Very aggressive. You use your fastball. Very assertive. Growing up, you talked about Griffey. Was there a pitcher that you looked up to, that you admired, that you resemble your pitching style?
I think I was one of those guys that watched like Clemens and Schilling and those guys just attack and just try to do everything they can to win the game. And that's what I was taught to do, just attack and leave it all out there, and whatever happens, happens.
You know, we were talking to Tony La Russa, your manager, before the game today, Lance, and he mentioned that, you know, when he first had you, when you were a young, fresh-faced kid, early part of the 2011-12, you used to sit next to Chris Carpenter, wide-eyed, didn't say a word, and just kind of studied at the foot of some of the masters. Do you still take those lessons with you when you go out there every 5 days?
Yeah, man. When you have guys like him, Adam Wainwright, Jake Westbrook, Kyle Loesch, you have all those guys. Even John Lackey came over. You try to take a little bit from everybody, learn as much as you can. And especially in spring training back in the day with Bob Gibson would be there. So you just listen to everything you can, make sure you stay quiet, stay out of everybody's way, but try to soak in as much as possible.
Lance, what was the reaction when you guys picked up Kimbrel and others to make you that much stronger in your clubhouse? What did the guys talk about?
All I thought about was get through 7 and turn it over to the boys. That's my thought process. But man, we definitely shortened the game, especially in October. We got some guys that we can run out there and do some big things with what they have.
I hear your weekly radio hits with Farron and Company on MLB Network Radio, documenting the many trips you take to the park with the family. And I want to know if you've gotten involved in this Frisbee golf thing that Dylan Cease is pushing on everybody. Is that among your pursuits?
No, it is not whatsoever. But I actually watched him do some things. It's a fun little thing they got going on. I'm more of a true golfer, so if I'm going to do any golfing, it's going to be 18 and out on the course and, you know, having a few cocktails while I'm doing it too.
Hey, Lance, our crew's going to be out in Williamsport as part of our Little League World Series coverage in a couple of weeks. I know you played Little League. What do you still remember about those days at, what was it, Brownsburg, Indiana?
Yeah, Brownsburg, Indiana. Oh, man, the big thing I think is I still have the friendships with all those guys. But when you look back, being 12 years old, playing on TV, playing in Williamsport, coming from a town in Indiana, that was the coolest thing ever. So it's like every step along the way was cool, but nothing like being 12 and out of your element and being on national TV. It was awesome.
Give us a snapshot of how this craft has changed, not since your Little League days. Look at these guys. Jimenez and Abreu. Yeah, tell them we see them.
I got you.
How has this craft changed, Lance? And I ask you this specifically because I know that you're involved with a track man. There's a bouncer up the middle, first of all. Cubs can't turn 2 as Hernandez gets up the line quickly. What's the tech that has helped you most in succeeding in 2021?
I think it was crazy growing up. You knew, I think back then they called it a heavy ball. You knew you had those things. And then now you're able to get eyes on why it's heavy or what makes it look that way. And then you're able to learn things on what deception you can use, how you can make pitches come out of the same slot, make the tunneling and all that. So you're able to use things that you feel as a player, and then you're able to see it and have numbers behind it. So it makes you trust it that much more. I think it's a big thing with it.
Hey, Lance, last one for me here, and a little fun here. Big Matty is taking me out to dinner in Chicago tonight. Would you recommend a nice, expensive restaurant? Because he's paying.
Okay, yeah. I went to Bavette's the other night, steakhouse. That's a good spot. I like it.
Okay.
The second is in time to nail Hernandez.
Yeah, especially if Matty's paying. You gotta go do a nice one for sure.
That doesn't happen
maybe
very often.
Big bottle of wine too.
Absolutely.
Little alligator arms here.
wallets in my other suit. Nicely done by Wilson Contreras behind the plate as Hernandez is thrown out. Lance, we appreciate the visit, man. Best of luck down the stretch and into whatever the fall finds the White Sox doing. We know you'll be a big part of the plans. Way to go.
I appreciate it, guys. Hope to see you in October.
Go get him. Right-hander Lance Lynn. You know, the staff that the White Sox have put together checks all the boxes, right?
You've got veteran guys like Lance Lynn, Dallas Keuchel, young guys like Cease. Giolito is in his prime years. And the fact that the White Sox are doing it with starting pitching, leading the American League among starters, and ERA, strikeouts, we can keep going. That's the strength of the team.
If I'm facing them, Matt, I will be very concerned because they have a guy in Lynn who's a four-seam guy. He referenced guys like Schilling and Clemens. Four-seamer, throws all over the strike zone. Keuchel, left-hander, sinker ball guy, pitches down in the zone. Fantastic, gold glove, holds runners on well, great for October. And then Giolito, a fastball changeup guy. All three completely different. So in a 3-game series, in a 5- or 7-game series, they could be very problematic. And now they have the three-headed monster on the back end. And don't forget, they have Ethan Katz, the pitching coach, who's doing a fantastic job. He goes back to the Harvard Westlake days back in high school with Giolito and a lot of these young pitchers. So they have a complete package when it comes to pitching, starting, and bullpen.
And another 2 strikes to Zavala.
Matt, I'm sorry. And another all-star, too, Carlos Rodon, right?
Yeah, I didn't even mention Carlos Rodon.
Great breaking ball.
Yeah.
Yesterday he was throwing hard out here. Just what a rotation.
And 2 righties, 2 lefties, Buster. That's a great point. I mean, that becomes very problematic for any lineup.
Ball and 2 strikes from the reliever Jake Jewell to Sebi Zavala. And Jewell strikes him out, so nothing comes of the leadoff walk. Play 2.5, still 7-2 White Sox. Welcome back to Sunday Night Baseball on ABC. Telecast presented by Taco Bell. A 7-2 lead for the White Sox. The crosstown rivalry continues with some weather on its way into town. We visit with Cubs manager David Ross. And David, thank you for the time. Hey, a couple of your new guys cashing in and helping you get on the scoreboard in that bottom of the 2nd inning. A pinch hit by Frank Schwindel. Rafael Ortega with the base hit. Talk about this new roster mix and what it's done for you and your job as manager.
Just getting some new guys in the fold. We've got some acquisitions, some Rule 5, some trades. Rafi's been a guy that's actually had really solid at bats, especially off right-handed hitters, right-handed pitchers. He's done a really phenomenal job for us, playing a good center field, been in a pinch hit role at times, and really won his opportunity in center field and hadn't let go of it. He's played phenomenal. Frank's a guy that makes a lot of contact. Probably not going to walk a whole lot, but he puts the barrel on the ball, and you see there, it's a guy like Dylan. That's really important. A lot of contact.
Rossi, I know how much you love the game and how much you love the development of it and talking and teaching the game of baseball. Do you find yourself with this new challenge ahead of you? I was telling Matty how I think you're the perfect man, right spot to get into a development, communicating. Do you find yourself coaching more, talking more, and teaching more to his young roster?
Yeah, I think so. I think, when you have the experience of the group that we had, there's not, it's the little details. It's just the fine things about in-game adjustments. This group here, you're constantly teaching just the game, how you want to play, the expectations, where we can take advantage of the opposition and trying to find those weaknesses within the game where we can try to score an extra run, maybe without a hit, or taking the extra base, the little things. It's definitely the moment that we're in with some of these guys is continue to teach the game for sure.
Rossi, I know that nothing about the trade deadline was easy
for you or for the Cubs from a management standpoint, but I think a lot of fans are curious about the conversations you may have had with 3 very prominent players who were teammates of yours, who are friends of yours on their way out. What was that like for you?
It was there's some emotions in there for sure. I mean, a lot of history with those guys and this organization, myself included. Once it started with Jock early on, the possibility started to linger. And then when you see one of the big boys go, when Riz did the first one, kind of the big 3, it was, I'm not gonna lie, a lot of tears and hugs but I think they're in a place where they can compete still for the playoffs. Those guys deserve to be in that that arena to be fighting in that environment of what they've done their entire career pretty much. And Javi the same, Chris the same, just a lot of, you know, they've done a lot and impacted this group in a positive way, this organization.
There's an impact swing as Wilson Contreras sends one off the ivy and left, and he's on his way into second. Hey, Rossi, last thing before we let you go, what is Kevin Kiermaier's brother telling you about the... He's got to manage.
I think it was low. Just making sure.
You good?
Yeah, we're good. Okay, there we go. All right, sorry, boys.
No, just I'm curious what they're telling you about the weather tonight. What's the forecast?
I've heard 7:30 we're going to get some rain. I don't know what you guys. I know Andy's doing a phenomenal job of directing this thing and keeping you guys abreast of the information. But I'm hearing 7:30 there might be some storms coming. But you know, it's Chicago. Who knows what the weather could hold? That thing could blow around us. We got a little sprinkles early on, but hopefully that big shower stays away.
Got it. Rossi, we'll let you go. Thanks for the visit, man.
All right, y'all take care.
Runner at second base with one gone after the Contreras double, and a chance for Patrick Wisdom to cut further into the disadvantage here. 7-2 White Sox, and a big swing and miss. Wisdom more than capable of running into one. National League's rookie home run leader. And here's David Ross taking a moment from us just for a moment to make sure. What was he making sure of anyway?
I think making sure Contreras was all right. He kind of dove and probably came up a little funny, making sure that he was okay.
Okay, got it. Multitasker.
Absolutely.
Guys, I had a conversation with David Ross yesterday about the role of manager and how difficult that was for him when you're talking about guys he was teammates with. And our conversation was around how his time as catcher really prepared him well for this, because let's face it, in individual starts, when he had someone like a John Lester on the mound who was a close friend, yeah, they were very tight, and you know, they had a great time together. But in games, it was all business. It was not personal. And if John Lester didn't have it, or if there was something going on with him where it needed to be corrected, or he had to tell the manager that Lester was done for the night,
Rossi was able to do that, and I think that's going to work well for him as a manager.
Counts 2 balls and 2 strikes to Wisdom, and a called strike 3.
I agree, Buster, and even the moment where he benched and pulled Javi Baez, I thought that was a great moment in David Ross's managerial career, because it's very hard to cross that bridge between manager, player, and manager. And to do it to one of the brightest, biggest superstars in the game, I thought it was a job well done. And Javi Baez came back and reacted the proper way and bounced back and did a nice job there as well.
And he did it with Kyle Schwarber before Schwarber left the Cubs.
Did that on a Sunday night baseball game last year. 2 gone with the runner at second, and now David Bote. Five strikeouts for Dylan Cease tonight, trying to strand that runner in scoring position and keep the 5-run advantage. Two balls and no strikes. Seven runs on 7 hits for the White Sox. 3 first-inning homers against Zach Davies. Davies around for only 2 innings in this one. 2 runs on 4 hits for the Cubs so far tonight. You know, with the weather on its way in, it leads you to kind of guessing what might happen if Mother Nature gets unruly. And there would be an opportunity for the Cubs and White Sox to complete a suspended game, as they'll play again on the south side later on this year. Everybody would prefer things get wrapped up tonight, of course, as always. And there's ball 4 to Bote, second walk of the inning, and the 3rd of the night.
Check that, just the third of the night. So double and a walk, first and second with 2 gone now for the rookie right fielder Greg Deichmann.
And Deichmann with one swing of the bat can make it a 2-run game.
Our colleague Boog Sciambi, who is calling the game tonight on ESPN Radio, whose day job is the TV voice of the Cubs on the Marquee Network, relayed a great story to us before the game that Greg Deichmann learned of his call up to the big leagues from a heckler fan at AAA Salt Lake this year. Somebody was yelling at him, "Hey Deichmann, you're getting called up today." And I'm not sure if the guy had any insight or if he was just trying to be cheeky. But it actually happened. There's Boog. He is in the midst of working the third wall right now, is he not? He's going hard with the imaginary friend. Going to have another visit on the mound as Ethan Katz is out for his second appearance. Yes, that's right. Thumbs up, Boog. Quick reminder to download the MLB app to get in-game video highlights, live pitch by pitch, breaking news, player updates, stat leaderboards, and more for your favorite team and for the rest of the league. We are in for such a great finish in Major League Baseball this season. Some tight division races. AL West, Houston leads Oakland by only 2 games. NL East, where the Phillies have a 2-game lead over Atlanta. The Mets have fallen out of favor. They've lost 4 in a row. We'll have the Mets and Dodgers a week from tonight on ESPN.
I tell you what, it's going to be exciting coming down the stretch. September is going to be unbelievable. In October, I cannot wait. It's going to be unbelievable.
And there's a strike to Deichmann.
Yeah, Matt, and that game between the Mets and Dodgers next week, that is at the forefront of what is an incredible schedule challenge for the Mets. As we go down the stretch, they still have 13 games left against the Dodgers and the Giants, a series against the Yankees, a series against the Red Sox, and a 3-game series in Milwaukee against the Brewers.
Wow. It's been kind of a war of attrition in the NL East this year. It was said to be baseball's most competitive division on opening day. There's been a ton of parity as they have beaten up on each other and beaten up on themselves. A lot of injuries in this division, of course. The Braves without so much of their personnel for various reasons. The Phillies are the hottest team at the moment, having won 8 in a row, enjoying a 2-game lead over Atlanta. Atlanta finally got to over 500. I mean, they went 3+ almost 4 months without being over 500.
That's incredible.
But they've stayed in the middle of the race, only 2 back.
And going back to the Phillies, you know, Girardi doing a great job with that team, and Bryce Harper is talking himself into the main conversation of the MVP.
Well, if Fernando Tatis Jr. is unable to make an impact down the stretch because of the injury, a lot of people think that it's a more open race. And to your point here, Alex, Harper getting Taijuan Walker today, part of the sweep over the Mets.
He's got the sombrero. The fans are rocking and rolling.
Here's a guy that might be a Cy Young Award winner, because if Jacob deGrom doesn't pitch again, Walker Buehler, Zach Wheeler,
deGrom may not qualify.
Yeah,
you know.
Well, he might not have enough qualified innings for an ERA title.
Right.
There's a lot of concern there in Flushing, Queens at this time.
Freddie Freeman, who was struggling so badly early in the year, he might be in the MVP conversation if the Braves find their way to the top of the National League East.
2 balls and 2 strikes. The count to Greg Deichmann.
And Buster, if we had this conversation just 6 or 7 weeks ago, we would have had Acuna, Tatis as MVP candidates, and deGrom as the runaway Cy Young. And all of a sudden, here we are in August, and none of those names may be in the mix.
No, I think deGrom would have been the clear front runner for a National League MVP as well at the time that he went down. So you're right. there has been a lot of erosion of the top names in the MVP talks.
I'll give you this for a certainty, though. Shohei Ohtani could retire today and still be the AL's most valuable player this year. Dykman fades a fly ball the other way. That's going to drop in for a knock, and it's going to score Contreras. Cubs continue to chip away on a one-time 7-0 deficit. It's now 7-3 White Sox.
Good at bats here for the Cubs, fighting off a fastball in, just fights it off. The LSU alum, I like that. Not trying to do too much, 2-strike hitting and an RBI. And the Cubs are in this game.
Greg Dykman wants that baseball. First career RBI. We're not sure if he got it or not. Runners at first and second. A run in with 2 gone for the switch hitting shortstop Sergio Alcantara. A nice moment for Greg Dykman for sure. When he was called up, by the way, he became the 57th player used by the Cubs this season, setting a franchise record.
Wow.
And we're in the first week of August.
57.
Alcantara
He does not see it.
Fly ball out to center. I think Engels got it now. We got a real treat coming up. After a break, I'm going to visit with Al Michaels, formerly the voice of baseball on ABC. Next. Well, baseball on ABC was a staple in the 70s and 80s. Al Michaels, of course, fronted that coverage for so many years. He's used to working Sundays for another sport. And Al was honored for his baseball work this summer as the 2021 winner of the Ford C. Frick Award for Baseball Broadcast Excellence. He joins us on ABC tonight. Al, thanks for the time. It's really great to have you on the program.
Matt, I just want to make one thing abundantly clear. That first shot was the 72 World Series, Kirk Dowdy and me, Oakland against Cincinnati. And do you know how much I spent to get my hair straightened before the opening game of that World Series? Those were the days.
Fantastic. You know, in your early days, and for fans that are unaware, you did double duty. You were calling Giants games along with your national work on ESPN, same when you were in Cincinnati. Is it fair to say that baseball was your first love, Al?
Beyond question. And I was in Cooperstown a couple of weeks ago. They gave me the Ford Frick Award. It was a tremendous honor. And I talked about the fact that even though people know me now from football, from an earthquake, from a hockey game, and a few other things, baseball was truly my first love. My father took me to Ebbets Field when I was 6 years old, and I told him, I said, I want to be here every day and get in for free.
Hey, Al, I always wonder, you know, you're so good at both. I know you're probably not going to answer this, but which one do you actually enjoy doing better? And growing up, was a guy like Vince Scully someone that you admired growing up and watching?
1,000%. I love Vinny. He's been a great friend for years. I wish him good health down the line here. Vinny's in his 90s. We talk every once in a while. He was absolutely extremely instrumental in me wanting to become a baseball broadcaster and just listening to him through the years. As we see a strikeout. I'm not that I'm going to do play-by-play, Matt, but I just saw a strikeout, so that I acknowledge that we saw some. I'm a little bit, out of a sync here. But Vinny was my guy without any a question of a doubt. And Matt, one other great thing, A-Rod might not remember this, but with that Baseball Network, he showed a clip from a Seattle Yankee game in '94. Yeah. The first game ever on the Baseball Network was the Yankees at Seattle, and I interviewed A-Rod as an 18-year-old.
Any recollection of that?
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, listen, anytime I would hear Al Michaels, it was a major event, and it was such a big deal. And when I first saw him at the Kingdom, I was in awe of Al Michaels. He's a legend. So, and he's been a great mentor and a friend to me, and has given me great advice. Even though I don't display it on the record, he's been a great teacher.
A little ground ball to the left side of the infield. Tim Anderson is retired.
Yeah, hey, Al,
I think A-Rod had a, by the way, I think he had a run-scoring single in that game. You were 1 for 3 against the Yankees. It was a Saturday night at the Kingdome Baseball Network, and I think 4 nights later, some acoustic tiles fell into a seating area at the Kingdome.
That's
you
right.
guys spent the next 3 weeks on the road.
Fantastic memory, Al. And I was just a few months removed away from Westminster Christian High School. I was 18 years old, and I was a nervous wreck. And all of a sudden, we have tiles falling on us, and we had to leave the Kingdome and Seattle.
You brought the roof down.
Base is empty. Hey, Al, you know what I'm curious about, and I'm reluctant to start a story with you out, but here we go.
Right.
So many partners, whether it was Monday Night Baseball, the Baseball Network in your years at ABC. I have to ask you about working with Cosell, because whenever there's a highlight with Howard Cosell and whomever the play-by-play used to be, it seemed that Howard would step on the action and chomp the bit pretty regularly. What was it like working with such a big personality in baseball?
That only happened about 95% of the time.
And there's my two-out story.
There's your two-out story right there.
Yeah.
You got it.
We'll get back to that and visit more with Al as we continue. Sunday Night Baseball will continue after this from our ABC stations.
Welcome back to Sunday Night Baseball on ABC. Telecast presented by Taco Bell. With Alex Rodriguez and Buster Olney, Matt Vasgersian joining you from Wrigley Field. And we have the pleasure to be joined by Al Michaels, going through some of Al's memories of baseball on ABC as Jonesui Fargas leads things off as a pinch hitter in the Chicago Cubs half of inning number 4. A 7-3 lead for the White Sox. And before we got to that commercial break, we were visiting with Al about some of the figures that he worked with in the booth. I mean, what a list of personalities, from Bob Uecker to Don Drysdale to, of course, Howard Cosell. Al, and we were in the midst of something with Howard that had our attention. And I loved working with Tim McCarver and with Jim Palmer. That might have been my favorite, trio of all time. But Cosell could be anything from charming to cantankerous, a word that he would love to use. And in the 1983, there's no swing there. On the 1983, I'm doing your job, Matt, but you get all the credit. In the '83 World Series, we're in Baltimore, and I'm behind the booth before the game, and Cosell is with me. And it's the first time I met Bob Costas, and Bob was young, and he was at NBC at the time. And Bob walks up to Howard and says, Mr. Cosell, hi, I'm Bob Costas with NBC. And Cosell says, I know who you are. You're the child who rhapsodizes about the infield fly rule. I'm sure you'll have a great career.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Only Howard.
Oh gosh, I love it. But what a terrific list of talent ABC rolled out in the booth with you. We have some images of some of those bigger-than-life figures in our business as Rafael Ortega takes a breaking ball for a strike to fall behind 0-2. Back in the day, you were the second play-by-play guy. Am I wrong about that in the early days of the coverage?
I was, because the original #1 team was Bob Prince, who was doing the Pirates, Bob Uecker, and Warner Wolf, who was in what Roone Arledge hoped would be the Howard Cosell role. And fly ball shallow left field. And that's taken care of. These innings are going by too fast here, guys. I've been waiting all day for this thing.
I know.
But, right, Leo DeRosa, Chris Schenkel going all the way back. And then we started in '76. You had Uecker and Keith Jackson. And my original partners were Norm Cash and Bob Gibson, who had just retired from the Cardinals.
Wow.
In 1976. And there's my men Jim and Tim. I think that was the 1989 World Series. We were in Oakland, and of course went to San Francisco on that Tuesday night and had the earthquake, and the series resumed 10 days later. And that was the end of baseball on ABC after 1989.
Al, here's a question with 2 outs, and maybe you can stick around because these innings are going way too fast.
I will. This is ridiculous. Sure.
McCarver, and I think I've told you this, is my favorite. growing up as a Met fan and watching WR and Kiner's Corner, but you've covered some incredible baseball moments. I mean, the '85 World Series, the '86 ALCS, and of course '89 the earthquake. Even though that wasn't the best played World Series, because you had to cover the earthquake, would you think that's one of your most memorable moments?
Well, certainly memorable. You know, it was a tragic situation, but you know, we had to turn into to newsmen that night, because it wasn't like it is right now. No Twitter, no social media, and you know, we had to handle the whole operation until ABC could get some people from the news department out there to cover it. I also, you know, I watched you guys. You played that, or I know that, Matt, you talked about the Tom Lawless bat flip before in the '87 World Series. I did that, and I remember saying these Lawless had hit 080 that year. He was like 2 for 25, and he's in the lineup because of injuries. I remember he hits the home run, he flips the bat, and I remember saying something like, "Did we just see that?"
Some version of "I can't believe what we just saw."
People should go on YouTube and look for the Tom Lawless bat flip. You're right.
Count is 2 balls and 2 strikes. Let's take you back to that World Series '87. Well, we'll take you back to Eloy Jimenez bat flip first. It's not bad.
There you go.
Lawless-esque. Counts 2 balls and 2 strikes on Matt Duffy, batting with 2 gone and the bases empty. We thought we had that, Al, but people are going to have to go to YouTube for it. And a called strike 3. 6 up, 6 down. We have too much to talk about with Al Michaels, who is good enough to stick around with us for one more half inning. Al, we appreciate your time for sure.
And we will be back, we hope, from San Francisco in just a moment.
And as we continue our visit with Al Michaels on Sunday Night Baseball on ABC, it has to just feel surreal watching that back years later, Al.
No question about it. And what's really funny, too, is that Tim McCarver always insisted that I grab his leg. But he grabbed mine. I don't care what Tim says, I still have the indentation in my thigh. But what a night that was. And
little fly ball that's handled against the new pitcher. Sorry, Al, go right ahead.
No, I mean, that was obviously a memorable night. You know, it's interesting, too. I'm watching the game tonight with you guys. Tony La Russa is the manager of the A's in that World Series. So Tony won the title. And speaking of La Russa, you know, when I went I got the award in Cooperstown 2 weeks ago, Ken Harrelson also got the award. There's Tony. And, you know, Ken won the award in 20. They didn't have the ceremony, obviously, because of COVID. So the two of us were together. And we started talking about the Hawks' general manager career. And I was reminded that when Hawk was the general manager of the White Sox for, I think, part of one season, what did he do? He fired that man, Tony La Russa.
That's right. That's right.
So Hawk will never go to Cooperstown as a GM.
It was a very brief run. I believe only a year in the chair before it was back to the booth in short order after that. Eloy Jimenez with another mighty blast. This one the other way, an opposite field homer. And for Jimenez, his second of the night. Boy, there is no better feeling for White Sox fans than coming here across town and putting their feet up on the furniture as they have all weekend long.
8-3 Pale Hose. Jimenez again attacking the fastball up in the zone, this time to right center field. Center field on the first one, right center on the second one, and a thing of beauty. Strong, tight, behind the baseball, a very confident White Sox offensive team.
I would imagine if Hawk Harrelson is watching right now, he is yelling, "Put it on the board," and reveling in his glory as the other Southsiders are tonight.
Good guys 8, bad guys 3.
Yeah. Hawk was never a partner of mine, but I think Steve Stone is still doing the White Sox, and Steve was another partner of mine on Monday Night Baseball.
You know, Al, as we think about the ABC days, do I have this right that there were a lot of kind of technical achievements that were were produced at ABC that we kind of take for granted these days, including the center field camera shot. Things that basic were hatched at ABC. Do I have that right?
No, because they may have taken credit for it, Matt, but it was not invented. I saw that when I was a kid living in New York on WPIX, maybe in the 50s. So ABC had a lot of great technical innovations in other sports, but not in baseball. When we started to cover baseball in 1976, our director thought the way to cover a home run was to put the camera on the ball in the air, live. That did not work out very well.
Yeah, not a lot of perspective there. Now we're covering the game with drones, with super slow-mo, with 4 and 5K cameras.
No, it's a different thing, and it's a beautiful thing to watch too. I mean, it's just I mean, to watch the replays from different angles. You know, where the pitches wind up, the velocity, everything. It's the close-ups are extraordinary. I'm having a lot of fun watching tonight's game. I got to tell you, this has been great.
Hey, Al, I got a question. I mean, going back to 1971, you broke into baseball. You had a job in Honolulu, Hawaii, and you come in as you were basically the voice of the Cincinnati Reds. How was it as a 26-year-old riding the bus with the Big Red Machine, Pete Rose, Johnny Bench, and others?
It was phenomenal, and I'll tell you what, A-Rod, I had to do a pregame show, and there he is, Sparky Anderson. I was going to mention Sparky's name. He and I had to do a 10-minute pregame show every day for 3 years. I learned, I got a PhD from Sparky. And then Pete was in his prime, and Johnny was ascending to his prime, and Joe Morgan gets traded over, and the senior Griffey is there, and Davey Concepcion. It was, and Tony Perez, of course. Watching his son Eduardo, I loved that because I knew him as like a 2-year-old. That I got a PhD, and I probably would have stayed there a lot longer. I was there for 3 years, but then the Giants tripled my salary, so I went to San Francisco, and I think the Reds did a pretty good job in terms of a replacement because Marty Brennaman only had the job for 44 more years.
That's right. You see a more than light rain starting to fall at this hour, and I'm not sure if Michael Rucker's slowing down on purpose or not. But the White Sox with a 5-run lead here as the rain starts to fall in the 5th inning, and a strike taken by Andrew Vaughn. I think a great way to button this up, Al, would be the fact that this is the 33-year anniversary of the lights being turned on at Wrigley Field, and you were here broadcasting a game the following year in '89. It must have been quite a novelty to watch night baseball here in only its 2nd year with lights.
It was beautiful. I remember walking into the to Wrigley Field with McCarver and Palmer, and we were just, our mouths were wide open going, this is phenomenal. Because we'd see so many day games there through the years, and what would it look like at night? It still looks beautiful. I mean, there's nothing like Wrigley Field, Fenway Park. It's the old ballparks are still the greatest.
Al, we can't tell you how grateful we are for your time, and we appreciate the memories and the conversation today. This is the first exclusive regular season Major League Baseball game on ABC since you were Mike's side in July of '89, and thanks so much for being a part of it tonight.
Guys, I love it. Keep it going.
And congrats on the Frick Award. Richly deserved.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Al Michaels joining us tonight. Sunday Night Baseball on ABC. Who better to visit with than Al?
I mean, he is the greatest. And for someone that coming up watching baseball, for me it was about Al Michaels, the Kindness Corner and McCarver and those guys. But Al Michaels, I mean, just watching him, even on Thursday nights now with Collinsworth, they do such a fantastic job. And I've never heard Al make a mistake. I mean, he is flawless.
No.
And by the way, we were talking a little bit before the game. He knows the rule book, whether it's baseball or football or tennis, or we believe in miracles. He knows the rule book as well as anybody.
On the ground for Matt Duffy, and the throw to first is in time to retire Vaughn. Moncada advances on the ground ball. Two homers for Eloy Jimenez tonight. That's just a gentle placing of the bat on the ground, but after his first tonight, yeah, Tom Lawless treatment. Boom.
The swing.
And here it is.
There it is.
With Al on the call, Game 4 of the '87 World Series. Tom Lawless didn't hit a lot of them, but he really, he really punctuated that one in the Fall Classic.
Make it count.
I told you that bat never came down. You never saw the bat come down.
Counts 0-1 on Cesar Hernandez. You look out the Sox dugout.
Well, I tell you, watch those Cardinals highlights from the mid-'80s, and you know, I have to think about growing up a Mets fan, watching the great rivalry between Davey Johnson, Whitey Herzog, you know, Dwight Gooden, Sid Fernandez, Ron Darling versus Danny Cox, John Tudor, Worrell. It was some great battles. Buster, I know you remember those days.
Oh, yeah. And those were intense, too. And also, just the nature of that Cardinal team and the way that they would attack on the bases and the absolute dislike that developed during those years between the teams you rooted for with the Mets and those Cardinals teams.
If you architect a team like Whitey Herzog had in today's game, I think that team could win a world championship. You have 7 or 8 contact guys, all switch hitters, most of them Gold Glove winners. They can all run. They put pressure on you. And then Jack Clark, the enforcer, hitting 4th in the middle, who was a guy that could strike out a little bit, could hit 30 home runs. To me, that is a great, great team. And if you can take that as a blueprint and use it in 2021 or 2022, not only is it more affordable, but it's more conducive to win championships. The art of putting the ball in play, running the bases, going first to third, also speed and athleticism like Anderson, the shortstop here with the White Sox. It plays on both sides of the ball. A little bit of a blind spot in today's game, but I do have hopes that that will come back with the mixing of analytics, but also with the human element and the athleticism.
2 balls and 2 strikes to Cesar Hernandez. And that's wrapped to first. Takes a convenient hop for Patrick Wisdom to retire the side. That's it for the top of the 5th, which means it's time for tonight's 5th inning Fast Talk presented by T-Mobile. Head over to ESPN's Instagram Live now.
Play Ball is baseball and softball's initiative to highlight the fun and accessible ways to play the game for all. Find a league near you. Go to playball.org and follow @PlayBall on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Dylan Cease out there to start a 5th inning of work, buoyed by 5-run lead. 8 runs of support for Cease tonight. 4 homers, including 2 by Eloy Jimenez. And he'll get the middle of the Cubs order, Happ, Contreras, and Wisdom in the last of the 5th.
You know, La Russa and Al Michaels, same age, 76.
Oh, right.
And been around a long time, obviously 4-star generals. The fact that La Russa was the manager was pretty great in that.
Well, they both remember this day well, and Al was kind of going through his recollections of turning on the lights at Wrigley Field August 8th, '88. Rick Sutcliffe, the Red Barons Cy Young Award winner, on the mound. And then it rained. And then Greg Maddux did the slip and slide thing, and it just turned into an all-night party until they finally played with lights the following night. It's quite a story, the battle that the Cubs had on their hands to put the lights in.
Yeah.
Because it was planned for decades earlier, and as far back as 1941, when then owner P.K. Wrigley decided that it was more patriotic to donate the equipment to the war effort than it was install lights here. And then the project was put on hold for decades. The Tribune Company purchased the team in '81. It took another 7 years to get the lights on because the Chicago City aldermen roadblocked the project for years.
Finally, the lights were turned on, and I think everybody agrees it was the right thing.
You know, Matt, I remember as a kid, you know, Sports Illustrated will come out every Thursday, and you will get the magazine at home. And I remember the coverage and showing the lights, and it was like a historic day, not only in baseball and sports, but in America. Wrigley Field to be lit up in the middle of this wonderful neighborhood with all these great fans. It was a memorable, very neat experience.
It's a swing and a miss by Wilson Contreras. You know, ABC actually had a little bit of influence on the lights being installed here at Wrigley Field.
How so?
In that if if the Cubs had qualified to play in the World Series in '85, ABC wanted the games at night under all circumstances, and they were going to force the Cubs to play at Comiskey Park.
Wow.
So they could broadcast at night. It just became a necessity to light the place. Here's Patrick Wisdom now with a swing and a miss.
You know, man, I remember talking to a lot of players who were free agents and wanted to be a Chicago Cub, but did not come here because they didn't like playing day games. They liked them on Sundays or Saturdays, but not every day. And that was a lot of the reasons why a lot of great players that were my teammates and my friends did not end up being a Chicago Cub.
It's 0-2 on Patrick Wisdom, who has walked and struck out tonight. And speaking of strikeouts, Dylan Cease has racked up a 9 strikeout total through just 4 2/3. This on the heels of an 11 strikeout night Tuesday in Kansas City.
Yeah, that's 20 strikeouts over the last 11 innings.
Ball and 2 strikes.
Jacob deGrom territory. 20 and 11 innings.
He's an out away from making this an official game tonight should the weather worsen.
See him shake Zavala a couple times, and the 1-2 pitch misses outside.
You guys see that breaking ball right there. He's in the top 5 in the major leagues in terms of getting strikeouts with his breaking stuff, and his strikeout rate per 9 innings 11.7. Guys, that's right in the same neighborhood as guys like Garrett Cole, Max Scherzer.
It's a breaking ball that he throws a lot too, Buster. Top 5 in terms of usage with his breaking pitches. Almost 45% of what he throws. Most Ks on the breaking ball, 4th highest total in the game. And it's going up on his 10th of the night. Cubs go down in order. 2 more punch outs for Dylan Cease. Still 8-3 White Sox.
Mic'd and homered our Corona Premier moments.
Get up. Yes, sir. That a baby? Swing that. Swing it. Somebody's getting hot. Get up. Get up, ball. Get up. Yes, sir. That baby.
Fantasy league owners who still haven't activated Eloy Jimenez. Let's get going here.
Absolutely.
Because, you know, he's ready to roll now. 2 homers tonight. Seby Zavala leads things off in the White Sox half of inning number 6 with a fly ball into right for Dykman. MLB.TV is now $52.99. Watch all out-of-market regular season games for the rest of the season, live or on demand, plus MLB Big Inning, blackouts, and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.TV for details. Going to have a pinch hitter now in the pitcher's spot. Dylan Cease will be done with 5 dominant innings of work. Not bad when you strike out the final 4 hitters in your assignment, as Cease did tonight. 10 strikeouts, leaving as the winning pitcher of record, should things stand. Jake Lamb will pinch hit for him with 1 away. Two balls and no strikes for Michael Rucker. Lamb was reactivated off the injured list prior to Friday's game. Had a strained right quad. He's already passed his home run total from last year. Former Oakland A, Arizona Diamondback. Two balls and a strike to Lamb.
Part of what you like about the White Sox in the postseason potentially, Matt, is the depth of their bench.
Hey, look at tonight just as an example. That's a really good point, Buster. Gavin Sheets, who's hitting long homers. Brian Goodwin, a veteran player with pop. switch hitter Leary Garcia, Zach Collins, who has pop, and Lamb. I mean, that's about as good a bench as there is in the American League.
And you got Luis Robert coming back here very soon.
Great point. They're saying perhaps tomorrow. Is that what we're hearing?
Yeah, exactly.
Lamb's a strikeout victim. 2 gone for Rucker. We're hopeful that the weather holds as it is. A light rain. It's turned into a very light rain at this hour. And if what we got 15 minutes ago is the extent of it, then the rest of the night is not in jeopardy. 2 gone, bases empty. Back to the top of the order, Tim Anderson, who has homered and singled tonight.
You know, La Russa spoke very highly of Anderson, talking about we have 2 leaders in this team, and is Abreu and Anderson. And he talked about in all his years, he always felt it would take 2 guys to be kind of the head of the board. And in this case is Anderson and Abreu. He talked about others, Carney Lansford, going back to his Oakland days. Obviously, with its Cardinals, it was Pujols and others, but very special hands, very athletic. And he talked about the energy that this young man brings every day to that clubhouse is second to none.
Open the ball game with a first pitch homer tonight, and the White Sox haven't looked back. It's 2-1. Do you remember some of the early armchair quarterback criticism of the White Sox for bringing back 76-year-old Tony La Russa to manage? It included such nonsense as, how is Tony La Russa going to relate to players like Tim Anderson? Yeah, Tony La Russa had Ricky Henderson, for goodness sake. He has related to players of all backgrounds, from all races, creeds, and denominations throughout his career, and it hasn't been even remotely close to a problem. I mean, the White Sox are winning, so that makes everything okay, but the players love Tony.
Here's what I read, which I thought was crazy, that Jerry Reinsdorf brought his buddy back. And anybody who knows Jerry, he's not going to make a decision based on what's best for him. He's going to make a decision what's best for his ball club. That's one. Number 2, the one thing that Tony La Russa has proven over the last many decades is he knows how to handle a pitching staff as well as anybody, especially the bullpen. If you think about the days with Honeycutt and all those guys in Oakland, the Cardinals, same thing, and he's going to handle this bullpen, this 3-headed monster, as well as anybody. So he's the right man in the right spot.
Waving a miss by Anderson. You know, in fairness to Tony's critics, there were some moments with Yermin Mercedes. We'll talk about all this as we continue in a 5-run White Sox lead. The Ballpark app will complete your next visit to the ballpark. Buy and manage game tickets, redeem offers, access exclusive content, and more. Download the Ballpark app today. Pitching change for the White Sox. Ronaldo Lopez is working out of the bullpen these days. 8 appearances on the season, a sub-2 ERA. There's 15 innings so far. Some time at AAA Charlotte this year, and he'll work to David Bote leading things off in the Cubs half of inning number 6. Bote has walked and struck out tonight. Had a couple of hits in game 2 of the series yesterday. 1-1. Before the break, we were talking about Tony La Russa's comeback season with the White Sox. Some of the criticism he took. Now, some of it may have been off base, but there were some discussions around one particular player, Buster, that I think are fair to bring up. Where does it stand right now in terms of Yermin Mercedes, who not too long ago said he was done with baseball?
Right, he was done with baseball, and then 24 hours later he reversed field in that regard. Look, what happened is that he swung at a 3-0 pitch and hit a home run, and Tony La Russa made clear in speaking with reporters that he didn't think that was good baseball, given the fact that it was a blowout, and he actually, according to Tony, had taken steps out on the field to give him a take sign in that situation. There were other players who came out in support of Mercedes. Even Tim Anderson, came out in support of Mercedes. It seemed like, La Russa moved past it that week, but it's certainly something that in baseball, with this conversation of old school versus new school, absolutely festered. I'd say this, Matt. I think La Russa was very smart when he took over as manager of the White Sox to essentially reach out to Tim Anderson and Jose Abreu, who he knew were the two leaders of the team, said, look, this is your team. I need to learn from you. And I think that's been the case. And I think he's benefited from having those two guys on the team. Because, Alex, you know this far better than I do. I've covered teams where there were clubhouse lawyers, guys who would have complained about an older manager and let it become a big problem. I think that Abreu and Tim Anderson have absolutely helped move this team along.
There's no question about it. You need buy-in from your leaders, and Abreu and Anderson are absolutely buying in. But look, Tony La Russa is one of the smartest managers of all time. Not only does he have a law degree from Florida State, but he's also must have a PhD in psychology. Because everything he does for a reason. He's setting you up for the tough moment in October. And there's no question, he might have been kind of in the gray zone there, but there's a reason why he did it, and the results are obvious. They're playing great baseball. When you walk around the clubhouse, when you walk around the dugout, spending time with the White Sox players, he has the absolute supreme respect of all 26 players and coaching staff. And in today's day and age, that's not a given. And I will tell you this, there's no manager out there, I don't care who you are, that if the White Sox are going mano-a-mano in a postseason game, in a Game 7, advantage goes to the White Sox because of his experience, his ability, proven ability to handle the bullpen in postseason play. And here's a guy who's closed it down, 3-time world champion. Tony La Russa is awesome.
2 balls and a strike to catcher Greg Deichmann.
You know, there's only been about 5 or 6 managers in the history of baseball, going back over 100 years, that have a law degree. La Russa, obviously one of them. All 5 or 6 are today in the Hall of Fame.
Including La Russa.
Including La Russa.
Hey, look, you can bring back a guy to manage if he's already in the Hall of Fame. Do whatever you want when you own the team. I mean, the White Sox retired Harold Baines' number when he was playing for the Orioles, I believe. That's out to right field. Another challenge for Vaughn, who is up to the task. Another good play by Vaughn in right field. He's had a couple of tough chances out there, and he has converted on each one of them.
I mean, here's a guy who's been an infielder, but he is looking like a seasoned veteran outfielder. He's played left, he's played right, and tonight, his second really nice play.
And don't forget, he also hit the changeup for a homer in the first.
2 gone for Alcantara. And I stand corrected, Baines was playing for the Rangers when the Sox retired his number. You get the idea, though.
Yes, I do.
That you can do whatever you want when you own the team. If they want to retire Dan Pasqua's number right now, by goodness, they can do it.
And something I hear all the time, guys, when you talk to White Sox people, they understand that they have a chance to do special things this year, and I don't think they're going to let a lot of those side conversations get in the way.
Ball and 2 strikes to Alcantara. Never before have the White Sox gone to the postseason in back-to-back years, which I find almost impossible to believe. There's a 2-out base hit back up the middle. Second time Alcantara has been on base tonight.
And Dylan Cease was outstanding tonight. Was about the fastball up and the breaking ball down, north side, south side. Here's the fastball up on 98 plus, top of the zone, elite stuff, and now going south with the breaking ball. Look at the whip and the bend. Outstanding night, top tier stuff. 20 strikeouts in his last 11 innings. A lot to be happy about if you're the White Sox with this young man.
AARP pitching summary on Dylan Cease. 5 innings, qualifying him for the win. 3 earned runs, hoping to improve his win-loss record to 9-6. I know a lot of people don't care about wins much anymore for starting pitchers, but
I consider myself one of the old school guys that still think wins for starting pitchers are relevant.
Absolutely.
Robinson Chirinos is the pinch hitter.
Veteran catcher on the bat with a runner aboard and 2 gone.
I mean, you play the game to win, Matty, and I don't understand this notion that batting average doesn't mean as much anymore, or wins. I mean, if you're a pitcher, you know, I always look at winning, because you can have a guy with great stuff that always kind of is around 500 or sub. The ability to learn how to win is vital.
You and Herm Edwards play to win the game.
Right. That's right.
I know you just spoke to the Crimson Tide football team recently. Maybe Herm will bring you out to the desert. The Speakers Tour for college football can continue for you.
I am available Monday through Saturday.
Okay, I got a problem with that, and I'm going to get to it if this inning continues.
Oh, I sure hope so.
Or 2 outs.
Quick throw to first base is not in time to back pick out Contra.
So I didn't know you spoke to Alabama. Yesterday you sent me a picture from Vanderbilt, my alma mater, and you're all happy. And look, I'm at this place. I didn't know you had been kind of a traitor before that.
Well, you know, yeah, I'm definitely a traitor. I'm a front runner, but you know, I have a daughter that's a rising junior this year, and we're starting to look at colleges. And I got Michigan, and I got a couple schools we got to go see. So I visited 2 this week.
Okay,
there you go.
2 balls and 2 strikes.
I mean, Nick Saban, I mean, he's, you know, 70 years old, still has the same fire and burn. And when we talked to La Russa today, man, he had the fire in his eyes like he was a rookie. He had the fungo in hand. He had the watch. He had the championship ring on his right finger. It was cool to watch, because that passion, boy, that never goes away. I saw the same passion this week with Nick Saban.
Swing and a miss will retire the side. Chirinos strikes out. Nothing in the Cubs half of the 6th. Sunday Night Baseball will continue after this from our ABC stations.
Who's leading MLB in home runs?
Well, and Siri will tell us that it's Shohei Ohtani of the Los Angeles Angels that still leads the league in homers with 37. Vlad Guerrero Jr. hot on his heels. Ohtani has hit something of a home run rut. Angels just played 3 without the DH against the crosstown Dodgers.
And the first pitch thrown here by Manuel Rodriguez hits Adam Engel, and the Sox have their leadoff hitter aboard. Well, Rodriguez selected from AAA Iowa at the end of July.
We're 97 miles an hour, a dangerous pitch there to the hand.
He was the losing pitcher in Friday's series opener here, making his 5th appearance of the season. And now in the unenviable position to face Jose Abreu with nobody out and a runner aboard. We're going to see Ohtani and the Angels take on the Indians in Williamsport in a couple of weeks on ESPN.
Little Leaguers.
Part of our Little League Classic. Yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun.
Little Leaguers won't be excited to see Ohtani, will they?
Wow. They will be thrilled to see him. An international field of Little League teams. Shohei Ohtani, the biggest attraction globally in the sport. There goes Engel. Throw down from Contreras, takes a bounce, and it's not in time to get Engel, who has stolen his 7th bag of the year.
There's another part of the White Sox game that I really like. La Russa putting the game in motion, keeping it attacking. And again, this is the kind of baseball you need to play in October to keep advancing. What play?
RBI opportunity for Abreu now, who has a single and a run scored on his line tonight, and that's bounced to shortstop. Alcantara gets it. It advances the runner. A 1-out runner at third, setting up Eloy Jimenez, who has had a huge night.
I mean, just a huge night. It's been fastballs up. It's been fastballs in for the double. And then another fastball up and away. And a sensational night for Jimenez. The swag and the chains. Mr. T starter kit.
5 RBIs for him tonight, 1 shy of a single game career high. Runner at third. Cubs play the infield in, and that'll work to their advantage as Engel has to hold at third on the ground ball to second.
Good pitch by Rodriguez, 99 miles an hour, running into Jimenez.
Tying up the big fella. Exactly what you want to do. And keeping that run at third base.
So a 2-out runner at third now for Yoan Moncada, who has walked twice, scored, and struck out tonight.
You know, Engel at third base is getting way off. Nobody near him, so anything in the dirt, doesn't have to go far, he can score.
The White Sox would like to get Moncada going. Last 11 plus games, now just 5 for 49. Batting around a 100 mark during that stretch.
And he drew all those comparisons to Robinson Cano as a teenager. Wore number 24 throughout his minor league career. Named his firstborn son Robinson.
Tell me it was after Jackie.
Maybe.
Okay.
But Cano was named after Jackie. And Cano's father was a pitcher in the Dominican Republic.
And named Robinson Cano after Jackie Robinson. The baseball tradition just continues.
That light rain coming down again here at this hour. Top half of inning number 7. Full count now, 3-2. Kind of appropriate on the 33-year anniversary of the lights being turned on for the first time. We should have a little rain tonight.
And again, Engel getting way off third base. He's almost halfway home, so anything.
I mean, he is basically, you're right, he's almost over halfway there.
Yeah.
And there's ball 4 to Moncada.
It's the best time of the year. The big plays and the hometowns going crazy. Let's hit some dingers and throw some heat. Let's just play. The Little League Softball World Series on the networks of ESPN.
Little League Softball World Series coming up. Little League Classic coming up 2 weeks from tonight in Williamsport. The Indians and the Angels celebrating youth baseball all month long. And here's Andrew Vaughn once again. He has homered and walked tonight.
In the homer in the first inning on a 2-2 changeup. 3 home runs. That was the hardest ball hit in that inning.
A ball and a strike. You know, with such a hitting pedigree, the likes of which Vaughn had collegiately at Cal Berkeley, he became a really quick study in the big leagues under Frank Menechino. Wow, what a nice piece of hitting that is. For whatever reason, I can't stand that term, even though I just used it, but that is a perfect way to describe that. Taking what's given to you, nice opposite field pass, drives in a run.
Yeah, the 3rd overall pick, only 23 years old, but you already saw a changeup for a home run, now the slider staying inside the baseball. It is a beautiful piece of hitting But the balance and the control for a 23-year-old, this is what you call a natural-born hitter. Makes it look so easy. And to do this at 23 years old, it is just phenomenal. The White Sox have a good one in their hands.
There's Cesar Hernandez now. Another RBI for Vaughn tonight. One of Frank Menechino's philosophies, and it was something that he did in Miami, and it worked with players like Christian Yelich, Giancarlo Stanton. He likes to say, hunt your spot, right? One spot. There's a one hopper for Alcantara. We'll have a little bit more on that as we continue, as on a close play, Hernandez is retired. One more for the White Sox. A 9-3 lead for the Southsiders. A reminder, everybody loves baseball tradition, so stay tuned for the 7th inning stretch, brought to you by Jim Beam.
Of being a closer, of being that last line of defense.
It's a lot of fun coming in, especially with the theatrics that the White Sox have been able to kind of produce with the flashing lights and the music, and the Southside fans have embraced me really well. So that's a little bit of extra energy that coming into a home game in the safe situation, which is it's very hard to replicate.
How useful is it if the hitter thinks you might be a little bit crazy?
I think it's very useful. I think it's I think it's just you never know what's going to come out. It's one of those things. They need to be a little crazy, but you also need to be a little psychotic, and you just need to be able to have that kind of mindset. The biggest thing is if you're unpredictable to yourself, you're going to be unpredictable to the hitter.
You guys will be playing the Field of Dreams games coming up.
Yeah, it's a cool thing. I'm excited about running through the cornfields because I'm just a giant child, and I think that's going to be a lot of fun.
You love Legos. What's your greatest Lego creation?
I think my favorite is the one I just finished the other day, which was the 007 James Bond car that came with an ejector seat. The wheels move. Just finished the Infinity Gauntlet from the Avengers movies, and now that will become our bullpen kind of trophy for anyone who strikes out the side without giving up a run.
You drink coffee before bed. Tell me about that.
And my dad and I, we both got into the habit of after dinner, it's like a nightcap. You go and have your coffee to help calm you down, and my wife hates it because I'll have a coffee and fall asleep within 3 minutes, and she'll smell the coffee and be awake for the next 4 hours.
He is a different dude, man. Coffee before bed. A lot of interests outside of baseball has Liam Hendriks, including being a big animal advocate. Our thanks to him for sitting down with Buster. All White Sox tonight. Hale Ho's on top 9-3, last of the 7th inning. Big picture, the White Sox trying to sweep a 3-game series at Wrigley Field for just the 3rd time since this crosstown rivalry series came about. Ronaldo Lopez continuing after his scoreless 6th. Full count, 3 balls and 2 strikes to Rafael Ortega. Couple of singles and a stolen base for the Cubs' new leadoff man and center fielder. Oh, there's a drive well hit out to right. And caught at the wall by Brian Goodwin, who entered in the half-inning interim as a defensive replacement. And when you talk about the White Sox-Cubs rivalry, it got no hotter than back in 2006. 15 years ago, a seemingly harmless sacrifice fly led to this moment. A.J. Pierzynski and Michael Barrett. A run scored, a forearm shiver, and then a right hook out of nowhere.
Oh my, the Mike Tyson roundhouse. And AJ had a knack to get himself in trouble, fired up, loved by his teammates, despised by his opponents.
That was one of the most shocking incidents, if only for the reason that those are both really good dudes.
Yeah, absolutely.
You couldn't, it was hard to find a villain there. I know that, you know, AJ kind of relished that villain role for a while, but it couldn't have been more off base. There's a ground ball nicely picked by Abreu. What a fine play.
Abreu's turned himself into a very good above average first baseman with years of hard work. Tough play here to his left. Nice reaction, one-handed, and then Calm Cohen collection with the feed. Nicely done.
2 quick outs in the 7th for Lopez, and now it's Ian Happ. Andrew Vaughn, by the way, moved from right to left when Goodwin came into the game, so it's Jimenez who rotates out. Understandable with Eloy just getting back to work. Boy, Brian Goodwin has been so good for the White Sox. He was hot in the absence of Robert. But the Sox are going to have a good problem tomorrow when they reactivate Robert. I'm not sure what the corresponding move is going to be, but that's a guy that they really can't do without. I would think he's safe on the roster.
It's a full roster, and it's a roster full of depth. They have speed. They have left-handed, right-handed balance, and they do not depend on in the long ball. The one thing they're going to have to answer is, and I think this will be the determining factor whether they can win a championship, and I do think the White Sox can win a championship this year if they can answer one thing and one thing only: discipline at the plate.
Going to have the White Sox tomorrow on ESPN as they start their series with the Twins with Lucas Giolito on the mound, 8 p.m. Eastern. Wednesday, Dodgers and Phillies, and then a week from tonight, Alex, Buster, and I are in New York for the Dodgers and Mets.
Citi Field.
Alex, I think there's one more factor to watch for with the White Sox. I've heard from Indians people in recent years that they really feel like that, you know, playing in an easy division, the American League Central, winning handily in the division, once they got to the postseason, they felt like that was a disadvantage because they didn't play a lot of meaningful games down the stretch.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. And I think, you know, having some guys like Lance Lynn and Kimbrel coming in with some experience that have been down the road in October, that have won championships, having a manager like La Russa who has 3 world championships, he's going to get that team ready, prepared, and he's going to continue to play the mental games all year long. So when that postseason starts, you can guarantee this White Sox team will be ready to go. If anything, that was the best reason to get a guy like La Russa to manage this club.
Swing and a miss by Ian Happ. Makes for a 1-2-3 7th by Ronaldo Lopez. Still 9-3 Sox. ABC's telecast of Sunday Night Baseball is presented by Taco Bell. Big lead for the White Sox as they try to finish off a 3-game sweep across town on the north side. Take a look at our game track brought to you by Geico. A 3-homer first set the tone for Dylan Cease, who struck out 10. It's a start after an 11 strikeout performance on Tuesday at Kansas City. As far as the Cubs are concerned, it was a short appearance for the starter Zach Davies. Lasted only 2 innings tonight. Seby Zavala leads things off with a ground ball for Matt Duffy. And there's 1 pitch and 1 out for Kyle Ryan, the new pitcher on the mound for the Cubs. Do believe that Kyle Ryan has been up and down from AAA this year no fewer than 6 times.
Well, that's a busy train. He's got a fastball, he's got a cutter, he's got a sinker, slider. Up and down 6 times. Boy, that is...
He's got to be saying, what am I out of options, guys? This is ridiculous.
Got to be close to a record there.
Leury Garcia is going to pinch hit in the number 9 spot for the White Sox. Garcia was in the original starting lineup today when we got to the ballpark and settled in for this Sunday night matchup. And then we learned that Tim Anderson had talked his way back into the lineup at the coaching staff's request. And Garcia was the odd man out, so he'll have a pinch hitting appearance here in the 8th.
I love to hear stories like we heard today. You know, Anderson has a good BP, scheduled day off, and negotiates himself back into the lineup. Abreu's the same way.
And La Russa talked about his 2 leaders, Anderson and Abreu, and both of them, you got to fight them off not to play them every day. They want to be in there every single day and carry the mail. They set the tone for La Russa and the coaching staff when you have 2 leaders like these 2 guys.
Ball and a strike to count to Leury Garcia.
Alex, what does that do in a clubhouse? What's the impact of the two best players like that being that way?
Well, it sets the tone, right? I mean, the manager can only do so much, but ultimately as the leader, the senior leadership, that you're going to say, boy, if these guys are banged up, Abreu got hit in the head, he's been banged up all year, and all he does is go out there, play every day. He's hurt, he's a veteran, and he still produces. And if you're a young player, that's your example. The importance of having players like Abreu, like Anderson, it's vital. And it's paying beautiful dividends here, from La Russa to the veterans to the young players.
You know, I think a lot of fans guess wrong when they think that the best player on each team is automatically the leader in the clubhouse. But when that is the case, you're onto something pretty great.
That's
when
right.
The most talented guy is also the most vocal and the leader. It's a ball and 2 strikes to Leury Garcia. Garcia, another very versatile player on the White Sox roster, a switch hitter, play virtually anywhere defensively, hit anywhere in the lineup. On the ground to the shortstop, Alcantara. Let's circle back to Joe McEwing, who is wearing a microphone for us tonight.
Rossi.
Let me make sure they can hear me on this microphone.
Okay, you got
How
it.
you come over here to Wrigley Field, my ballpark, and
It
get
is.
mic'd up, and I don't get mic'd up?
It is your
That's
ballpark.
disrespectful.
I hear
I
you.
feel some type
You have
of
to
way.
talk to somebody about that. That boy, Angie. That baby. You all right?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
Can't hurt the man of steel.
Nope.
Can't hurt him.
Only I can. I can hurt myself. Nobody else can.
There's that third base coach fraternity, and I don't know. I think Willie Harris really sincerely did want to be mic'd up tonight.
Absolutely.
I don't think he was playing. Thanks to a guy that they used to call Super Joe during his playing days under Tony La Russa in St. Louis for wearing a mic for us tonight.
Ball.
A ball and a strike to count to Tim Anderson. A leadoff homer came on the first pitch of the night. A single. He has scored a couple of runs.
You know, one thing that doesn't get enough credit, you know, I want to underscore how good of a coaching staff the White Sox have. When you look around, Joe McEwing, Daryl Boston, Miguel Cairo on the bench, Ethan Katz, and you mentioned already Menachino, but well-balanced, well-respected, major league experience. And La Russa may be 76 going on 77, but he's got the energy of a 47-year-old.
Anderson sends that one well hit out to right field, and it right against the base of the ivy-covered wall. Anderson wheeling into second, part of a big night for the White Sox shortstop.
In a night that he was supposed to be on the bench, he sets the tone on a first pitch home run, and now on his third hit, a little circle change here. Again, working the ball to right center field. A short swing, a compact, and a guy that still hits 300. The value of a guy like Anderson today is worth more than ever before, because the commodity of hitting 300 and putting the ball in play is fantastic.
Ball reemerged out of the ivy immediately, so Greg Deichmann never had a chance to throw the hands up and signal that the ball was out of play. Top of the White Sox lineup has been terrific tonight. 8 for 16. Let's go back to the start of the 19th season. Tim Anderson better than Brantley, Turner, LeMahieu, some of the brand names in the business. Trey Turner finally made his Dodger debut over the weekend, Friday night, as a pinch hitter.
I mean, Matty, you look at an average of 317. Not all numbers are created equal. I mean, you're talking about 317 10 years ago was really, really good. Today's exceptional because you have guys that are hitting 220, and you have front offices saying it's okay, 220 is fine because he hits home runs, on base, all this other craziness. 317, it's something to really, really treasure.
Hey guys, I can tell you this, that Tim Anderson absolutely believes that there's room for growth for him as a hitter. You know, he's someone, he didn't play baseball when he was growing up, picked it up in high school, and Joe McEwing told me that every year you can see him learning and learning how to, you know, how opposing pitchers are pitching to him, how to use that information. They feel like he's just getting better and better.
3 balls and a strike to count to Adam Engel. Jose Abreu waiting on deck. White Sox looking for more. 4 homers tonight on the north side. That's 20 home runs for the White Sox in their last 5+ games in this ballpark. And it's a full count to Engel now. You know, just to button up the thought on Tim Anderson, he had only 3 extra base hits over the last 2 weeks. He's got 2 of them tonight alone. And a called strike 3 taken by Engel. It gets Ryan out of any further difficulty. Middle of the 8th. White Sox still on top 9-3. Up on ESPN tomorrow, these White Sox and the Twins. Lucas Giolito on the mound open the series for Chicago tomorrow night. Wednesday, Dodgers and Phillies at 7 Eastern. And then a week from tonight, once again, we'll have the Dodgers and Mets 7 p.m. Sunday Night Baseball a week from tonight. And we've talked about some of the trades that the White Sox and Cubs have pulled off at this deadline season. One of them sent Ryan Tepera across town, and the Sox were thrilled to get one of the better setup men in all of baseball to join their ranks for the postseason stretch. Tepera has been great this year. 5 outings with the White Sox. He's allowed only 1 run on 4 hits. Wilson Contreras, guy who used to catch him, is the first to face him here in the last of the 8th.
Contreras, Wisdom, and Bodie here in the 8th inning for the Cubs.
Alex, you get a situation like this, guy's been your teammate, relief pitcher on another team, or any pitcher for that matter. What do you think the advantage is with?
Oh, there's no question, the hitter, especially when Contreras has been the catcher. He knows exactly what his arsenal is. He knows what he wants to do with money time, and he knows his weaknesses and strengths. And when a pitcher shows that type of vulnerability to anyone, especially the catcher, advantage goes to the hitter.
Fastball misses. It's 3 balls and a strike. Tepera uses his slider a lot. One of the better sliders among relief pitchers. He'll throw it almost half the time. On a hop from Moncada. Flagged it down and got him. Tough play. As we mentioned, there have been 30 trades consummated between the Cubs and White Sox. Doesn't happen very often, but when it does, it's more than likely impactful. Ron Santo, a lot of fans forget, ended his career as a White Sox. Sammy Sosa for George Bell in '92. John Garland trade in '98 was a big one. In 2017, Cease and Jimenez for Jose Quintana. And this year, Kimbrel and Tepera shipped to the south side. Nick Madrigal on the IL rather. And a Cub next year moving forward. The people who've been critical of the Cubs for the deals, it is hard for fans to kind of drink in the prospect part of it, right? They did get some really good young controllable players, minor leaguers in most cases, for the stars that they sent elsewhere. But look, when it becomes clear that you're not going to re-sign somebody, as opposed to just letting him walk as a free agent, the Cubs were active. They made moves. It's unsettling for fans, but it was a necessity this year. Little dribbler back to the mound.
You know, as a fan, it's hard to focus
on what you're getting, right? You really focus on what you're giving up. And what Buster talked about earlier, the relief that you get from a salary point of view, the flexibility that you gain, plus the prospects, is going to put the Cubs in a position, especially in the primary market, with tremendous resources to be able to strike and strike quickly. Jed Hoyer's in a position, a guy who's already won multiple championships under Theo Epstein, with Theo Epstein. I'm bullish on the Cubs for the next 3 years, maybe not next year, but the long term, I like where they're going.
2 gone for David Bote, who picks on the first pitch, and Tepera is going to get through his old uniform quickly and efficiently in the 8th. Heading to inning number 9. Sunday Night Baseball will continue after this from our ABC stations. Tomorrow, our ESPN Plus game. It's the Reds and Indians at Progressive Field. Our coverage begins at 6 Eastern. To get ESPN Plus, go to ESPNplus.com or download the ESPN app. Battle of Ohio tomorrow, and it's a Reds team that has bad intentions to overtake the San Diego Padres for that last wild card spot in the NL postseason race. I say bad intentions, and it means that they're on a mission.
That's right.
Jose Abreu leads things off in the White Sox half of inning number 9. Welcome back. It has been all White Sox tonight, as Abreu sends a fly ball out to shallow center. Ortega on for it, and there's 1 gone for Kyle Ryan. It started with the first pitch of the ball game tonight, Alex.
That's right, a fastball that never got there. A home run by Anderson, setting the tone. And then Jimenez, another big fly in the fastball on the toss, and then the changeup by Vaughn. About 105 off the bat, 2-run homer. 5-0 before you can blink.
Brian Goodwin gets a plate appearance. He came on defensively an inning or so ago, batting in Eloy Jimenez's spot in the order.
So the White Sox score all those runs in the first inning. They're ahead 9-3. It's been raining for an hour and a half. You guys see how many people are still here at the park?
That's a good point. Just under 40,000 paid tonight, and many of them, if not most, are still around despite the score, despite the conditions.
And Buster, you know this. I mean, as a player coming here, you knew the biggest star for the Chicago Cubs was the venue. It was Wrigley Field. It was a treat to come and play here, even a bigger treat as a fan to come and watch. For us as broadcasters, we just love coming here. That's a luxury that 29 other teams do not have. They show up if they win. With the Cubs, they show up either way.
Which makes it easier at the trade deadline to make decisions. Look, when those trades went down, social media, maybe fans were unhappy there, maybe on blogs, that sort of thing. But you know what? They're still coming to the ballpark.
Well, it's been fun for us to be here tonight for sure. 3 balls and a strike to count to Goodwin. In fact, how about this note? The last time the White Sox were the exclusive national game on ABC, as they are tonight, Darrell Boston stole the base. It was August 4th, '86 against the Red Sox, and the White Sox current first base coach stole the base against Roger Clemens. In fact, Jose De Leon outdueled the Rocket that night on ABC in a 1-0 win. Two gone for Yoan Moncada. You know, going back and reliving some of those thoughts we had during those White Sox Cubs trades. Nobody saw Sammy Sosa for George Bell going the way it did.
Nope.
Because, you know, George Bell was a brand name slugger, as it would turn out. He'd play only 2 more years with the White Sox. And that is about as lopsided a deal as one could ever think of. That's Brock Fabroglio type lopsided.
2 great Dominicans trading locker rooms.
Line shot out to center that's handled by Ortega, and the Cubbies are down to their last shot. Headed to the bottom of the ninth. All White Sox on the north side. ABC Baseball through the years. Monday Night Baseball. Some of the great moments in the history of the game. Some of the great animations and fun packages in the history of the game. Everything from Reggie's 3-homer World Series game, the famous Don Denkinger call. I showed you the Tom Lawless bat flip in '87, the earthquake game. It's great having Al Michaels with us earlier to go through some of his memories of baseball on ABC. And it's been a lot of fun for us to be with you tonight as well. All White Sox on the field tonight. They're 3 outs away from finishing off just their 3rd ever 3-game sweep of the Cubs at Wrigley Field. And neither of the co-closers is needed at this juncture. It'll be Jose Ruiz who will have a chance to wrap things up tonight. Diekman, Alcantara, and then the pitcher spot here for the Cubs in their last shot, last of the night. You know, we mentioned the co-closers, Buster, and after the acquisition of Craig Kimbrel from the Cubs, there are a lot of people wondering about usage in the bullpen. When would it be Hendricks? When would it be Kimbrel?
That's right. And Tony La Russa said, look, there is not going to be a closer controversy. Hendricks, all-star closer. Craig Kimbrel closing in on 400 saves for his career. Now, when Kimbrel was a free agent before he signed with the Cubs, he's made very clear to teams he wants to be the closer. He wants to rack up saves. But in the midst of the 2021 season, when the White Sox have an opportunity to win this year, I think they're just going to work it out. Liam Hendricks told the White Sox when he was a free agent, look, I don't care if I pitch the first inning or the last inning. Just use me when you want me to use me, when you want to use me.
Swing and a miss by Greg Diekman. Yeah, I mean, to be clear, this wasn't the '98 Padres getting stuck with a waiver claim on Randy Myers when they already had Trevor Hoffman. They wanted co-closers this year.
Yeah, and I think one of the things to underscore here is another asset that La Russa brings to that clubhouse. The stability and the confidence to take a very complicated situation and just completely simplify it day one. And saying we're not going to have a controversy and here's the way it goes, and everybody just stands put.
I mean, look, one of the teams that they might find themselves staring the face at in a World Series matchup potentially, the Milwaukee Brewers, and we got through with the White Sox Brewers game a couple of Sundays ago. They run out some pretty heavy hitters in the back of their bullpen, so why not load up on high leverage 9th inning guys?
And I think the difference and why the White Sox are great contenders to win a world title this year, you know, most teams that have a bullpen that strong are not as strong with the starting pitching. That's not necessarily true with the White Sox. They have 4 horsemen, righty, lefty, all 4 of them potential aces, and then the 3-headed monster in the back end. I mean, you can have a situation where 7 pitchers can bring you to the title. Last time they won a title, they basically had complete games all the way through. That won't be the case this time because you have back end help.
See, look, we can get along, right? Cubs fans, White Sox fans.
Buster, going about next week, I know we have the Dodgers and the Mets. Going into, I know both of them are struggling a little bit. What team do you like better kind of going into September and October?
Oh, Dodgers, no question, with the depth they have. No, I think they have a lot of questions. You know, Mookie Betts' health, Clayton Kershaw's health. But the Mets right now are absolutely in a free fall. And we don't know, as we move forward, what they're going to get out of Jacob deGrom or what they're going to get out of Francisco Lindor. Lindor told reporters yesterday he doesn't really have a timetable for when he's going to come back from his abdominal strain. deGrom has spoken positively about feeling like he can pitch in September, but let's face it, whatever plans the Mets have had in terms of how they're going to handle him have changed repeatedly during this year as he's had these physical setbacks.
I mean, Baez nicked up today. Lindor still hasn't swung a bat. There's a late swing by Alcantara, and the Cubs are down to their final out tonight. And your point's well taken on the Dodgers too, Buster. I mean, Cody Bellinger's shoulder has given him a lot of trouble. He's not had a terrific year, such a talented player. Kershaw injured. Betts was hot out of the break. So there's optimism there. Oh, and by the way, they traded for Max Scherzer and Trey Turner. I mean, how about that? It's an embarrassment of riches out there.
Yeah, their payroll is around $275 million. And, you know, they've become the Yankees of today's modern day, right? They spend more than anybody. You know, Buster, with the Mets, obviously a lot of excitement picking up Javi Baez. Hits the big home run early, but then, you know, goes
one of the last few games here, 5 at-bats, 5 strikeouts, 0 for 5. And maybe trying to do too much too early, especially with a guy like Lindor down.
It's New York, Alex. You know all about that.
Indeed.
0-2 the count. Pinch hitter Andrew Romine down to the Cubs' final strike tonight. And it has been a White Sox story on the north side of Chicago this weekend. The Sox, for just the 3rd time in franchise history, sweep a 3-game series across town. Terrific starting pitching, a part of the story, as Cubs batters struck out 45 times over the weekend. Today it was big hitting in addition to a strong start. And that guy, Eloy Jimenez, saying hi to Mom and sending a couple of baseballs over the ivy as souvenirs tonight as well. 2 homers for him in a 4-homer night. The last 6 games in this ballpark, the White Sox have struck for 20 home runs. A runaway 9-3 victory for the visitors tonight. When we come back, we'll wrap things up from Wrigley Field. White Sox 9-3 winners over the Cubs this evening. We'll be right back.